Hello and welcome to episode 441 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. My name is Vince Hunt, and joining me as always is the creator of the comic series Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
And last Christmas, I gave him my heart. And the very next day, well, he's still with me. It's Tony Esmond.
King of the Woods.
So he asked for the receipt and took it back to the shop.
Always keep the receipts.
Broken. I took it back broken.
Don't fit. Take it back.
One thing we don't need a receipt for is the fourth member of the podcast this week.
Yes.
Whenever we want to talk comics, he's there in a hurry. It can only be the one and only Tom Curry. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hello. How's it going,
Tom?
Hey!
Good.
Hey, Thomas.
All keeping okay?
Yeah.
Good.
An episode of another podcast you were on popped up. You know, you did one, Tom, for a little while. I'd downloaded it on my phone and it popped up and I listened to it.
That thing.
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh God. I got sort of not roped in, but I was doing another podcast, not as good as this one. And
He has to say that.
no, I do. I'm pleased they're still going. Pleased are going well. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. Tell me later. Or
I would
text
have.
me.
Yeah. Because what we're going to be talking about this week, all four of us, is just some good old-fashioned comics positivity. Because this week, we as a podcast, we've got a lovely community of people that follow this show. And if you're a listener, if you're listening now, there's a good chance you're probably part of the Slack community and chat that we've got. Just in general, just online. It's a brilliant and positive force for comics. So we just wanted to, as 2023 is almost over, it's almost done, and before we look back on the things that we like, we just want to put the mic over to you guys and see what about this year that you were like, and the good things, and how the year was from a community perspective. So first off, thanks in advance for what I did. I set up I set up some sort of channel there, then messaged everyone and said, how do you add
everyone?
Because I
have to press everyone's name.
Yeah, it was very much like that. But then, of course, just sort of telling everyone what this episode was going to be about, and the response was quite amazing.
Fucking loads.
So, firstly, thank you to everyone that has responded. We're going to shout out names, and we're going to try and get through a lot of them. We're not going to promise that we can get through all of them. And one thing we're going to say from the outset, we're not going to list any best of comics from the community.
That's another week, isn't it?
Because when at our end of year show, when we talk about our favourite comics of the year, we will probably shout those out from you guys as well anyway. So
yeah, we're going to split it in two almost, aren't we? So
yeah. But after like a turbulent sort of up and down year for comics, as they always are, any medium has ups and downs. And certainly we've had our moments where we've got on a bit of a rant on the soapbox, and certainly all you people listening because of clickbait titles, welcome.
Yeah, hello. Got you again.
I heard someone decrying like the clickbait titles, but I was like, no, man, they work. And they get a big win. So
Falby was going, another clickbait title tonight? I saw him for lunch.
But the thing about it is, it's never a lie. I'm on the titles, if you actually read them, there's not a single lie.
No.
Yeah. Ooh. And as we say here, this is the Community Speaks episode. But it's going to be comics positivity, because as we see out the year, it's just going to be nothing about the joy of comics and what you guys have loved. But before we get into that, we've got a little topic of discussion. And don't worry, as Tom's part of the community as well, we're going to put him under the spotlight, so you're not getting out of it, Tom.
Oh no, that's okay. I was the only one who messed up that conversation on the Slack.
No. There was no wrong answer. There was absolutely no wrong way of sort of contributing to this conversation.
I'm looking at them now, and there's some incredibly heartfelt, eloquent individuals, and I just went like, Splat, here's my top 3. 1, 2, 3. Wash them off.
Yeah, I think that's because we've been talking about top 3 in the WhatsApp group. That was the reason.
Bled over.
Yeah. No.
So you're going to have to get heartfelt and emotional, like one-to-one in a minute, Tom.
That's all right.
But talking about like sort of feelings and emotions, there's a certain topic at the moment that's going around, and we're not going to soapbox about this or do an old man rant about it. Who wants to bring this up? I don't think I'll be able to introduce this properly.
There's lots of feelings and emotions involved, certainly.
Yeah. Mostly wrong ones.
Yeah. So, Tony, you're usually
okay. Well, I can do it. So, there is a comic shop owner called Glenn, He owns a shop called the Comic Book Palace, which I think is in Massachusetts in America.
Yeah.
He does weekly videos about his shop, and on them he'll talk about what's out this week.
Yeah.
I wish all shops did that, to be fair.
He recommends
comics.
indie and big titles that are out this week.
Yeah. He recently did one, which is a one where he sort of, or somebody interviews the customers and they say what they're liking, what they're not liking. And he sort of has a bit of a chat at the shelf as well. And what he says, I'm going to paraphrase him here. He says that people are writing characters like they think the writer, are themselves. So you've got an established character. I think he uses the example of Captain America. People don't write the established character. I'm doing that in air quotes. They write, what if they were Captain America? And he says that isn't great. And he says later on in an interview, we are losing people who just like DC and Marvel. They are buying less and less. If Marvel and DC go, most comic shops go. And he said that in an interview with Mark Millar.
Yeah.
Now, it's the very small section of him sort of, I think he'd probably agree, having a bit of a rant, as comic shop owners are wont to do, at the shelves, was clipped out and stuck online. And it raised a lot of reactions from both. Well, I'm not a great believer in saying both sides. I think in all sides is that there was a variety of sides on this, from fans of comics, the creators of comics, and especially professionals in comics, who came out. Now, in Mark Millar's podcast or YouTube channel, he refers to it as a Spartacus moment. He said a lot of people were contacting him privately and saying that they agreed with him.
Well, initially, there were a lot of people coming out and attacking him, including lots of professionals.
Yeah, there was a number of personal accounts. Personal attacks, sorry,
but based primarily on his appearance, which I find absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
That was just the bully mob, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
It follows hot on the heels of the previous comic shop owner, and also I think some comments made by Mile High Comics as well in IC2V2 article, where they were talking about the slump in comic sales. Now, let's be specific here. We are not talking about manga. We are not talking about YA books like Dog Boy. We are talking about Marvel and DC mostly, and probably I'm going to say some of the larger indie comic companies like Dalcos. And so that's what he's talking about. And he, like you say, Dan, he got roundly attacked, and there was a lot of support for him on it.
It kind of turned. It was a kind of turning point because we thought, okay, here we go, we've got another Twitter lynch mob going on, and then like it quickly evolved as like, no, this is a good take. Like, but you're going against someone wrong here.
There was also people taking the original conversation and twisting. Like when I was sort of aware of this going on, and when I came back a couple of days later, obviously the discussions, which some of them were genuine discussions, right? I managed to avoid some of the vitriol because I hate don't need that kind of acid in my diet. Thank you very much. But it was almost like people were taking that and making another discussion about it, about like writing in comics and stuff, and like writers like having these discussions. And it didn't seem, when I was reading it, I sort of thought, hang on, is this still attached to that, or it has the conversation?
For me, there's a lot of disingenuity when they were sort of saying, does he not know about what self-insert and what writers are? And you're taking what he's saying there to make a point, and that's not the point he's making. Do you know what I mean? It's really kind of like, that's the only way you can kind of have a tick against in your column that you've got one against him, is to labour this point, which he didn't make. And I think if people are being honest, he doesn't make that point. He's not saying that at all. He's not saying, for all of us are kind of creators, and when you create a character and that character gets angry or sad, that's going to be part of you. But I'm not writing that character as me.
I think there's a big point to be made here that he is talking about established characters.
Yes.
So characters who already exist and have existed often for decades. Now, there's a big difference to me between doing that and writing a new character, and especially a creator-owned character. I think you could argue till Wednesday about the fact that, listen, Cerebus or Mage or Atomic Hercules or any of these characters are self-inserts. I mean, I've called one of them fucking Tony Osmond for me. But my point would be is if you're writing a character that is established, and we talked about this last week as well, you have to pay due to the person whose fans, readers, and retailers recognises that person. And he was making the point that they don't.
Yeah, I think that's...
I would love to see Dan Butcher's Punisher. I don't want to see Dan Butcher as Punisher because my heart doesn't take it.
That'd be a horror comic.
I don't want to break your heart, Tom, but I know things. I know things.
But also, did you guys watch the full, like, not the Millar video, but like the full original video?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Did you notice like how much he was selling in terms of cards?
Yeah, loads. Yeah, he did the whole
like,
section at the end where he sells cards, isn't there?
The guy clearly loves comics, and like he's all the time. He's like, "I'll do a deal on that." Or someone comes in to get a comic, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll take $10. You know, he'll do a special on that." But where he's making the money is in like, isn't that the bit is more?
I don't understand why the direct market is archaic. I think we'll all agree on that. It's a shrinking area, and I think the problem you've got is comic companies don't sell to readers; they sell to retailers.
Yeah.
Now, there's some of these people are cutting their own throat by saying there's not that many comic shops left. There's a few disappeared recently, especially in the UK.
It's insane.
Yeah.
There's a retailer on the front for decades telling you this is the score. And then the people who his product he's selling are kind of going at him and saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about.
Now, we've had 2 or 3 retailers come out in a similar vein in the last few weeks, so have caused their own particular controversy. Now, I was saying to you guys, what I really want to hear from is to kind of make me decide what's right, is to hear from a bigger range of comic retailers. Now, coincidentally, at almost the same time as that, Mark Millar put out a post saying he's got 3 shop owners who own, I think, either large shops or chains of shops, and he's interviewing them this week. So it'll be interesting to see what their thoughts are on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it really lays. And I think if you are the sort of person who just immediately kicks back against anything they don't like or they find
slightly negative,
then hopefully you'll watch that and you might actually learn something.
Yeah.
I don't know which way it's going to come out.
No, it's all about being informed, isn't it? Like, and you hope, and you hope with a discussion like that, the questions are the right questions, the answers are well thought out, and informative, so that more people know. Because when something like this comes out, everyone from like Tony said, that all directions come out of the woodwork. And people jump on these things for their own personal little vendettas, their little campaigns, whether it be left, right, middle. I don't care whether you're in the nether realm. Some people fucking just, as soon as it's like, oh, I can turn this to my advantage, let me do that. And then on top of that, you have just the name calling. You just this real. It's just awful, and there's just no need for it.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of discourse, at least some of it, which I think is the poison which is affecting the industry.
Yeah.
If we can...
Go on, Tom.
No, I was just going to say, I'd recommend go and watch the original video, like the full thing. Because there's some lovely...
It's a lovely community shop, man.
Bingo, man. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the first 10 minutes is someone talking about how they've spent years trying to collect all issues of Captain Kelly, which I've never heard of before. And I was like, but he clearly cares about the thing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you went and actually sort of watched. I mean, I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but I need to. Because I need to be informed about it.
I've watched a load of his videos, and he's just, I don't want to say average, because he's clearly got a bit of personality about him, but he's like, I would shop at that shop. If I was local, I would love to shop there. Put it that way. I just think we've got to the point now where if you say anything critical online, nobody is prepared to have a conversation with it. I saw one person tweet about saying, "Oh, have you got some examples of this?" Which I think is a reasonable thing to say. If you're stating this, I mean, we all know there are examples, but they said to them what it was. But I think rather than just coming out and calling them immediately, they brand people toxic, Nazi, fat, smelling of urine. I've even seen people just come out and call them a TERF just out of the blue.
Yeah.
It's just nonsense. Have a reasonable conversation. And the best example of that is the Slack. Well, we have a totally reasonable conversation.
Movie done.
Thank you.
We can maybe look into a bit of future, but like Millar's kind of like, he went off to do like the Netflix stuff. And I feel like he's come back to comics like years down the line. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? And he's kind of like, I think like there was those podcast appearances. He came on ours and he came on another. Was trying to get like an idea of what's going on. And
he asked us, Dan, didn't he? Afterwards, he said, "Right, stop the recording. What's going on, lads? What's good? What's bad? What's happening in shops? You know, stuff like that."
And I think he's just heard the same story all over, and it's like bloody hell. But listen, and I think he's taking it upon himself to try and rectify it.
Yeah,
I honestly do.
And there was a moment where I think online this week somebody said something. I think it was Ethan Van Sciver, and he complimented Mark Millar on something. I think it was, and he said,
I'll share this.
I'll share the video with Glenn."
Yeah.
We all want that video because it's part of the discourse. And he said, "Thanks, Bud." And people have been attacking him for saying "Thanks, Bud." God forbid he should ever buy a newspaper or offer anyone and say "Thanks, mate." You know, or anything like that. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's got to the point of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing ridiculous about this show is us. But certainly, as always, you independent comic book shop owners out there, we say it all the time.
You're keeping the industry alive.
From all of us. Never mind all the online bullshit from all of us. Some of you actually listen to this show while you're in the shop, so we just want to say thank you.
Yeah,
just thank you very much for all the hard work you do.
For every time you put the effort into chat to a customer and recommend a book and put a book aside, and that's what's keeping the industry going.
And if there's a customer in your shop right now, hello.
Buy Wildgoose's new book. There you go, if you can hear me.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Yesterday, I was in Hailmy and walked into one of the shops, and they had NPCT there.
Excellent.
They had there on the shelf. It was next to a few of the comics as well. Sent a photo, sent it to Milmo, and had a big old chat with the owner about it. And I was like, I know the author, and it's just, and they're really excited to hear about Milmo.
That's good. I've never been there. Is it nice?
It's genuine. Do you know what? There's a lot of sci-fi, a lot of books there, a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Oh, nice.
You know those? Yeah, absolutely loads. I can chew your ear off about that, but it was just lovely just to see some books out in the wild and people excited about them, and that's really good. Yeah, really good.
So obviously we're going to talk about the community stuff, of course, but in the vein of that, when we get to the end of year show, and this works for all over the world, by the way, give a shout out to your local comic book shop. And we'll shout it out. We'll just tell people where to find it. We just want to have we'll probably do a little section if we get enough, just shouting out, go visit this shop, because obviously there's certain shops, bigger name shops that people know about, but I think everyone listening, everyone probably goes, "Oh, my local one's called, I don't know."
I want to go to every shop in the UK. I always say that. Whatever town I'm in, I want to pop in the comic shop.
Like Harry Ramsden, that guy went round and had fish and chips at every Harry Ramsden.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, retirement. Here I come.
Yeah. So, yes, from that, we're going to talk about this year and what our wonderful Slack community, as Tony said, has thought about it. So what we're going to do, we got a whole list. We had to collate a list, and it was quite a list. So we're going to run through them. Before we do, though, I think, as we always say on this show, don't we, lads? The guest goes first. So in terms of 2023,
what?
Yes,
what do you mean?
The spotlight, Tom Curry.
Get on with it, Tom. Get on with it.
Get with it. Get with it.
I wasn't prepped for this.
No, but just in general, like for you in terms of reading and comics, what's this year been like for you?
So for me, this is the first year in a while I've actually kept up with a monthly, which I haven't done for a long time.
Back in a trend there, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, the manga stuff I always think is a little bit different because the delivery method for that is, you get it when you can get it. But actually, this is the first time in a long time I kept up with monthly. And the two of those, as I go down to my bit of the Slack, were Big Game and obviously Void Rivals.
Yeah.
Void Rivals as well. And I've basically both of those have been it's just been nice to sort of I've always been traditionally a read issue one. That was great. I'll wait for the trade if and when it comes.
Got ya.
Yeah.
But these two, been keeping up with them on a monthly basis and just really enjoying it.
That's nice, man, because that's what they're there for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
For you to be desperate to read the next issue in a month's time.
Yeah. And also not to get lost in them as well.
Yeah.
The number of series where the scope creep at the end. You know, it gets so big.
Yes.
Like, hold on a second. This was a book about some gangsters in the back of an alley, and now they're trying to punch God out.
No, it's gone cosmic.
It's gone cosmic, and I'm like, and it just gets too big and too much, like people shouting as they're in a fighter jet.
It's
screaming
strange because that was mentioned the other week on one of the tropes that people didn't like, and it's where they start with one thing and then change into another.
Yeah.
It's almost if I listened to this episode.
Yeah, but there is like the statement of intent is really important with the first issue.
Yeah, I think it really is, and I think obviously you can grow, right? But anyway, those two titles particularly they set up what they wanted to deliver at the beginning, and they've kept on delivering it, and it's just been great. It's been really fun.
Yeah,
really fun. And then also, part of this is you guys, part of this is my own sort of like where I'm at. It's also just reading wider in terms of other things I've been looking into. So it's just no surprise to anyone. I read a lot of manga, and I've tried to go wider in terms of what I've been reading.
You're totally like one of my go-to sort of like manga readers. You know, you read way more than.
I think if you asked me if you said to me like, Tom, could you recommend to me a kaiju book? And the answer I would give 5 years ago would be very different from the answer I give now.
Yeah.
Just because I'm trying to read like wider genres and like, maybe looking further afield than just the simpler shonen style stuff. More of a wide range. And that's been my kind of like reading year.
Of all the NIA episodes I've done, probably the one that I've talked to most people and to you about was the one we did about Tezuka.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm very pleased to hear it. That's been a real eye opener, frankly.
Been just amazing. Big shout out to you, Taka Yoshida, my mate from work, who listened to that episode and sent me loads of questions because we got quite excited, didn't we? That a Japanese professor was asking us questions.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where my reading's been. It's a surprise about the two, and also just then dipping back into. I've always enjoyed the folklore bit of Hellboy.
Right.
The fact that there was that real root in. Historic folklore, be that English, Slavic, pagan, and going back into that and looking into that in other genres as well has been really interesting too.
I think Slane does that well as well. There's a few books out there.
Slane does that very well. Slane does that really well. And just sort of like seeing where that vein, leads and that kind of jazz. It's been really interesting. So I've done a lot more sort of taking a subject, be it big monsters, be it folklore, be it be it even like Void Riders, right? It obviously has a Transformers link. I've never read a Transformers comic.
Yeah.
Is that a hot thing at the moment? Is it Transformers?
I don't know. I've got no idea.
Don't know, Dan. Is it?
Actually, yes. Sorry.
But I think Kirkman's making it. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm reading it. I'm reading it.
I mean, this is no slight on any of the Transformers comics that have been going for like all of this time, but they were just kind of like bubbling there as an IP, weren't they? But this year, there was almost like a fanfare made of. Okay, we've moved house. Here's a new thing that started, and it started in such a new and fresh way that people had to take notice. Even if it's just, the hell is going on? And then you read it and think, actually, it's a really good story. So that's what's going on.
Yeah. And drawn exceptionally well.
Yes.
Yeah.
DWJ.
Which is Dan will say.
We're going to circle back around to that later.
Yeah. Well, there'll be a bit of Transformers talk later. And Dan's experiencing quite a lot of it at the moment.
Going through this September, me and Cole Henley drawing from the list.
It's good. Yeah, I like seeing them pop up in the morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, so this year has been obviously quite. Your reading is sort of opened up. Do you think that's something that's going to continue next year? Is it been a positive?
So. No, actually, I'm going to narrow down. I'm going to really narrow it in onto one. Yeah. No, I hope so. I genuinely hope so, and I like, but also just see where the interest takes me. See what excites me, and then work off that. Work off there really.
I like a project in a reading thing. Like you've done, I've sort of thought, right, I'm going to read all about this character, I'm going to read this timeline, or something like that. I kind of like that at the moment, and it's easier to do with all the apps and that sort of thing.
It is, and it could just be a case of let's say. Over Christmas, I decided to reread Parker.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like a great series, and then go, oh well, actually, I'm going to go through all the Darwin Cook stuff.
Yeah,
let's go through is it Kingdom Come, and that Kingdom Come?
No, it's
New Frontier.
New Frontier, yeah.
New Frontier, yeah. Like go through New Frontier, and then like work off that jazz. But that's kind of where I generally sort of like at the moment.
It does kind of help because like having that sort of project because like I know I'm getting a new issue 1. like every week for this show.
No, even that's a project, isn't it?
But that's the 52 project, as I call it. But because of that, I'm reading some series ongoing because of that.
I want to see an Excel around that one. I want to see a nice Excel spreadsheet at the end of that project, babes. Yeah.
I think if you rebrand it a challenge, that kind of like ups the stakes to it. So I've got to read in challenge. Read this, and there's a competitive element, but you're not competing against anyone.
Yeah, just against yourself. I mean, I tried to read as many comics as I could in a year. And to be fair, it's given me a bit of just quickly talking about the Glenn thing, it has given me an insight into what he's saying about, self-inserts and the quality of comics at the moment. And reading all those comics, and I read 4,500 comics in a year, and it did give me a massive insight into the industry and the way sales and stuff go and the way stories are told. And it was a good fun thing.
Are you going to do like a rundown of the winners and sinners?
Yeah, I've just had such a busy period. I think I might try and do it over Christmas where I do... what was the most, what was the sort of genre that was best, what months I read best and most, what days, all this sort of thing. Try and break it down into sort of data, I think. Yeah, that's the plan.
That'd be interesting.
I think the way you guys played it in regards to, when Tony read the War comics. And then,
that was fun. Yeah.
Going and then down going through The Walking Dead, for example.
Yes.
That kind of way I think is quite a fun way to play it, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
I did it with the Star Wars comics as well.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, not so good.
Well, interesting though. Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, to set yourself like a genre that way, right? Like a genre.
We haven't got one on the go, actually. We better rectify that. We'll do
we need another one, don't we?
We'll do that for the new year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got plenty of sort of ideas for the new year, and probably like more genre shows. Yeah, genre. That's genre.
To be fair, I'm reading G.I. Joe from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So they released the first issue. I bought the first issue today as a reprint.
Excellent.
Skybound brought it out. Yeah, with a bit
of a
very
backup. Generic Marvel, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's very safe that era Marvel, like.
But like all those comics.
Trimpy's great though. I love Trimpy.
Yeah. I'm not kind of hating on it, but it's like
it gives you the flavour you want, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
There's a shitload of storytelling in it, man, as well. They go through a lot in that. Yeah.
Speaking of going through a lot, thank you, Tom, for that. And
cheers, Tom.
Obviously, you're going to be on the show in the future, whether you like it or not.
Oh.
No, that's
it's all right. When one of you fall, I'm there to pick you back up again. There are only one pair of footprints of the prints.
You know, the ACP Jesus.
Yeah. If we were in a bank robbery gang, you'd be called the Crutch. Yeah. Anyway, that's just
sorry, listeners.
Or the Crotch.
Or the Crotch. Yeah. Anyway, but now it's time to turn it over to the rest of the community. So, shall we just work out who wants to read out the first one?
So I go first.
Yeah.
So we got Connor, who is a reasonably new member of the Slack, I think. Might as well start it off with a big ball of cheese. My highlight is this podcast. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah. I remember, I think he got into this because I put a postcard for us in each issue of Dirty Basement, and he was a backer of that, and that's how he found about it. So the nice one. He says, I don't post much here, but I'm always lurking. The community you fostered is a gleaming beacon in the world of comics that I'm proud to get. Well, we're proud to have you, Connor.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Totally. Thanks for including
Connor.
yourself. Yeah. And as we always say on the Slack, the no comment is ignored on there.
Yeah.
No,
everyone's got a valid and equal voice on it. So, thanks for joining in, Connor. Yeah.
I just want to mention also that some people said some very lovely stuff about this show on this Slack.
Yeah.
We might mention
we're not going to fixate on it.
But that wasn't what this was about. We just
it wasn't. No.
I mean,
although we are brilliant.
We are very honoured that you consider listening to this show on a weekly basis.
Yes.
To be a positive experience.
Very much appreciated.
And it's lovely to see the numbers on a Monday almost. I know we talk a bit about the first couple of days of the big days, aren't they, for numbers wise, but people do seem keen to listen to it straight away, which I always think is also quite touching,
I agree.
Yeah.
We've got one from Sam Hardacre. On a personal level, I'm very proud to be included in Madeline and DY3. Both books, great books, and did some good in the world, which is
I really enjoyed that. And big shout out to Simon for putting out Madeline and for Eamon for putting out DUI3. Yeah, really good.
Thought Bubble was a highlight for me. I know it's issues, but it's the one time a year we get to spend a few days just hanging out with the comics folks. And I always leave feeling inspired. We have a great bunch of books which keep me ticking over until Christmas.
He shared a flat with Cole, didn't he? Didn't they share an Airbnb or something?
Oh, really?
That was making me laugh. Yeah.
That's what you want from any comics event as well, though, isn't it? To walk away feeling inspired.
Comics.
Sam's put in said, "Oh fuck! How did I forget getting the original art for the cover of Bunny versus Monkey, the Impossible Pig?" Jamie gave it to our youngest in one of his advanced copies of Max Chaffee for it. Hit the shops. So he was the first kid in the world to have a copy, which is
That's
pretty
nice.
badass.
I know he's friends with Jamie Smart, isn't he? I think they're buddies. Yeah.
And
well, dude.
Jamie Smart was obviously one of my idols back in the day. Still is. And of course, the comics I read, he's no longer doing because now he's in like the sort of kids comic and all ages thing. The guy's a fucking superstar of that genre.
He was one of our first guests.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
That was such a good episode. I remember particularly that episode just because he was just such a good egg at the time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. For a bloke that didn't really do conventions, he's now like regularly at Waterstones doing workshops and signings for all his books which are flying off the shelves, which is brilliant. So
yeah.
Okay, I'll pick up this one. Rory Donald.
Love Rory. We love him.
He's,
See that art he put on Instagram this week? Fuck the sort of black and white stuff he put on. The shadowed figures. Fuck me, that's good, man. He's improving leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
He's not that he was bad, but fuck me, that's good.
Yeah. He said, Thought Bubble is always an annual highlight for me. A huge ACP-sized hole was very much noticed.
Well, there's a big ACP hole right here.
And as it's the only comic thing I get to every year and really enjoy catching up with friends, old and new, with the social side of the event as well. Even though I couldn't party much this year. Turd emoji.
I don't know what that means. What happened? He's always a highlight of every con I see him at. Yeah. And he always wears our T-shirt as well. Geezer,
we've got to get another T-shirt done, man.
Must do it.
Well, we'll talk about that over the Christmas period. And in terms of Thought Bubble, I'd love to go there like as a punter, maybe have a little bit of a splurge, maybe next year, hopefully. You know what I mean, Tony? And not a turd emoji.
Well, I'm down here with Zach Cahill. He's a little bit nervous, but I'll speak for him. He seconds finding the podcast that he looks forward to every Monday.
I met Zach at the Satanist event I went to. Nice dude. Yeah, nice dude.
Nice.
Yeah.
For Zach, a big highlight was rediscovering his love of drawing comics after a long time away, publishing his first one and seeing on an actual shelf in a comic shop. Nice work, Zach. This is a real teenage dream achieved.
Yeah, he's in Gosh. I bought my copy in Gosh of his comic. Yeah, very good.
Is there any left in Gosh, Tony?
I don't know, actually. I didn't see any today. I would have noticed.
Zach, here's your opportunity, man. Update us with... if there's
they're sold out, my friend. Get back in there. Yeah.
And then finally, finding lots of great indie creators on the Slack. It's a whole world he knew nothing about until this year, and it's endlessly inspiring.
Hey, there you go.
Good stuff.
Yeah. That's a Zach.
I'll do Troy. Troy's reasonably new, I think, as well to the Slack. I know he was at the last Drink and Draw. We had a good chat about some comics he had. You know, we sort of crowdsourced amongst the people that there sort of some opinions to help him out. He said it's hard to nail down. There's a few things. All the Garth Ennis stuff, 2000 AD and Rebellion. Being in the Mega City Book Club with Eamon, he did an episode with him. It's very good. Having a really positive Thought Bubble experience. Just reading loads of new and old comics from Kickstarter and Zoop. A big shout out to Zoop again. Our buddies at Zoop. My co-creation Aphelion hitting the shelves before the end of the year. Good stuff, man. And like every year being so detached from Marvel and DC that I don't care about Disney Warner making terrible actions. Me neither, my friend.
Yeah. And that, I tell you what, that's a growing community of people. Because I'm just sort of I'm walking away and I'm happy.
I'm actually read some of that Aphelion. It's fucking spicy.
Oh, is it? Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Very spicy.
Oh, good.
Spice up your life.
We like spicy. Yep.
Yeah.
We did a little rendition of that before we started recording, didn't we?
He did.
No, I think he was recording. He was recording.
You might hear that at the end of the show. Who knows?
Hold tight.
Don't include my strap-on comment.
Well, you should strap in for Cole Henry, who's whizzing in fast.
Who is this bloke?
He's more professional than us.
Yeah. Don't take much.
For Cole, 2023 was generally a shit year, personally. I'm sorry, mate, Cole.
Yeah. Hope you're right.
However, it's been great to find some joy drawing in the community and space. Here to share with like-minded people. I've had it in the UR. That's not him. Especially since Mark shoved the fire covers arsehole off Twitter. I should prove him before I start. Okay. Cole had a great time at Portable, despite poor sales. But that may be the last one for all. And yeah, do you know what? He's feeling a bit flat at the end of the year, but he's glad to find some lovely comic chums here.
We had Cole on, didn't we, a few months ago? Yeah. And it was the first time we spoke to him, I think. I don't remember meeting him at a con, I don't think. But I'd met him at BAM. Pardon me, I'd met him at BAM very briefly. But what a fucking totally positive community member he is.
Yeah.
And he's great and funny as fuck.
draw off stuff with the September is brilliant.
Did you see he did that fucking X-Men issue? He redrew it because he thought it was shit.
Is that legit?
Yeah, I think that's a legit cover. Yeah,
because I saw that cover. I was like,
another Slack I'm on. Yeah,
no, that's not right. He can have drawn that. And
it's a bit weird, isn't it?
He did. It's like, what? Okay, there might be more to that.
Yeah.
So how much you paying? 20 quid? Oh, there you go. That's what we get.
Yeah, exactly. Might be a case of that, mightn't it? Yeah. You only got 5 minutes to do it.
Like we said before, we've got a couple of people mentioning in the comments here. We're going to push that back to another show a couple of weeks' time. We've got the lovely Kieran Squires.
Yeah.
Who's fantastic.
Another positive and sarcastic member of our community.
Yes. From a personal point of view, being able to work with a couple of guys on projects and popping my pod appearance cherry. Yes.
Good laugh, that one. What did we do? Did we do IPs on that one?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that was a good. And we've still got a little WhatsApp group that occasionally pops up and something stupid appears on it, and it makes me laugh.
One of the things I really get a kick of that's happened. I've said it before, like the aftershock. I mean, this podcast exists, but then the community became its own thing. And people collaborating and finding collaborators. It's got nothing to do with us, but like you guys found each other and you make new comics, and that's fucking brilliant. It's just more new comics.
I don't think anyone ever asks advice on there either and doesn't get some decent advice as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And most of it is completely out of my wheelhouse about fucking graphic design.
We were talking about the paper-like screens on on iPads and putting them on, and I think it must register in one of the top 5 most stressful things I've ever gone through in my life.
Oh, you said, I remember you telling me a story years ago about sweating. Didn't you find a conference room to do it?
Yeah, I went into a conference room. I tried to get absolutely dust free, like, right, I'm going to fucking do this perfectly. And they lay it down, it's fine. They just smooth it all down. Then there's like we see the little bits of dust. I mean, fuck. And they're like 15 quid a pop. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's
I don't think we've said yet as well. The Slack is free. So I've had people say to me, how much is the Slack? It's not. It's free. And it's open to everyone. Now, so if you want to come on, just message one of us and you can come on.
Now, when we started this show, and the ongoing thing is, I don't really want to start a Patreon for this show or anything like that. This show is fun and it's free, and you just jump in and like usually when we ask for money, there's a charity involved. That's the way that
always
show
always
works.
Apart
from I need to get my car fixed, so if anyone could lend me like 20 quid,
I need some lip filler.
And Dan's arse injections due up pretty soon.
That's every Friday night.
Fridays? How traditional.
That's fish and chip night. Anyway,
that's the only night Terry's free.
Terry Nutkins.
Terry Nutkins.
Terry Nutdin.
Oh dear. But please, like if all of this sounds like a good community, just get in touch with us and join this.
You don't even have to say anything on there, guys. You can come in and just have a read.
I rarely jump on. Well, I rarely jump on there to sort of.
You did today. You sent a little thank you, didn't you?
Yeah. But I go on there and read and just look at some great art and just see what they're.
You don't have to come in and talk about comics. I mean, if you like comics, it's like there's no kind of. Yeah, jump on.
Yeah. There's
the meme channel. Just come for that. That's fucking nice.
It's good. Yeah, Pete Watson's the king of that channel, you know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have
speaking
to
of Pete,
that crown.
Speaking of Pete, ever listen to Earth 2 this week?
Yes, that's giving a shout outs.
Yeah, oh, good. Okay,
go check that one out.
Okay, on the chat, Mark Abnett, he did bring up 20th Century Men, written by a mate and made me incredibly jealous, but love the story and the team I put together.
Mate, you'll hear more about that in my end of the year list. Definitely, I agree with him totally.
Yeah, the book made me want to be a better writer, something I will surely fail in doing. Oh,
get off, Mark.
And Deniz Camp and Stepan Morian gave me a superheroes comic that wasn't about superheroes, a book based around Cold War machinations of the 80s and alternative outcomes that spoke eerily close to the world around us today.
Mate, that book is like reading a really good 80s book out of Epic.
Mate, I fucking haven't read this. I don't have to get on this.
Yeah, same.
And to just underline the point, Mark said, it's really fucking good.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, Mark's another great member of the Slack. I mean, all these people are, aren't they? But and he's got loads. He looks after dogs, doesn't he, Mark? Makes me giggle. He's always sending pictures of dogs staring at him on the couch, isn't he?
Yes, he kind of, I think last time we did, I was in the drinker drawer. He was kind of like contending with 5 of them What he was trying to.
Who's next? Is it me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Big shout out to Brian Rankin. I know he's just mentioned some books he's read and enjoyed this year, so we'll probably give them a shout out later. Andrew Hurd, Drew, who's we didn't see on the last Drink and Draw, but regularly is on the Drink and Draws, and I've known him since he was on an illustration comics course at uni when I met him then. But always a very positive. I think he mostly names some books that he's reading.
He does bring up a creator's name that popped up a couple of times.
Well, Candolfo, yeah. I think Strotty mentioned them, didn't he? Yeah. Very quite a hot one. If you don't mind, I might just do Dave's one, and if you don't mind, So Dave Krahnke, I've had the pleasure of meeting this year, and having a beer with. Very, very funny dude. He's been on the pod. We very much enjoyed his episode. He's mentioned a few books, but also mentioning Johnny Cannon's book, which gets a few shouts. Nice to see some press book like that of that quality. On a personal note, I'm enjoying laying foundations on my Substack, which I'm hoping to do more within the coming year. I'm signed up. Go and sign up to Dave Krahnke's Substack. Been loving my 4-year-old calling me Batman to his Robin. That's cool, isn't it?
Nice.
Managed to get back to my local comic book shop regularly, City Centre Comics, which is a shop that I also visited this year and is a cracking shop. He said big shout out to Big Chris. He's rediscovering his love for floppy comics. And he's exhibiting at many cons and inching that bit closer to funding the final volume of Glass City, The Story of a Missing Girl. And of course, like everyone else, ACP podcast. Cheers, lads. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Dave's been a bright spot in my comics year, I've got to tell you. He's all right. He's a good guy as far as I'm concerned. And Glass City is a really interesting book. If you can find, it's on Comic House, it's on a couple of other places. Read it if you can. And he pulls a real switch and bait in that first issue, which I really loved. I think that was a good
actually got me in that one.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think the Substack thing's interesting as well because
it's on the rise, man.
We'll see more of that in 2024. No doubt we'll have a few conversations about that. We've mentioned creators that have Substacks, etc., on there. But don't be surprised if you don't hear us talk about individual.
I'm signed up to loads. It's like a mailer that I actually read.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, Pat, you've got to give Pat a shout, frankly.
Pat's is like the best. Yeah. So good. And he mentioned a certain person on this podcast in his book that came from that Substack as well. Vincenzo.
What?
He mentioned you. I know. I said it to you. Yeah.
Was it you and your cat army? Or,
No,
we turned that corner.
I got
away with that.
I got a little bit emotional.
You did. You were. Oh my god! I've just woken up to you messaging me because obviously I only message people at 5 o'clock in the morning. Me and Dan.
What is it with Dan and Tony only messaging me at fucking 5 in the morning?
I know. Trust me, I know, Vince. Every morning I wake up and I turn on my phone and go, "Oh, there they are."
It's like Jesus Christ. And not only that, it's a fucking book's worth of they just had a conversation between them, and I felt like I've completely missed out on it. I'm like, oh wow.
Honestly, well, Dan goes to Pump Iron and I run around my village like a sweaty mess, and then when we finish, we can sort of text each other. That's how that worked. Yeah.
Honestly, going to Japan was quite nice. So I picked up all of them. There's about sort of in the afternoon, but I picked them up. I was like, oh, there they are. Coming through.
Because I'm usually kind of getting up for whatever reason, 4:30 or 5. I just wake up and get going. I don't know why.
Needs a wee.
Yeah.
Old man's bladder.
We're all getting older. Okay, I'll jump on.
Go on,
go on, Tom.
No, I didn't have a good one, man. It was a weak one. It wasn't great.
Go on.
Old Messy Comics.
Yes, Strotty.
Strotty, our wonderful friend Matt Strott. Without a doubt, the number one comics highlight for me. He's trying to get brownie points here. Was Baltimore Comic Con and getting to pal around with Tony and Cliff.
That was a fucking fairly mental day. And then we did SPX the following day, so we're proper con buddies now. Yeah. Good lad. Strotty's a top bloke. Also, fucking massive.
Yeah.
I realised he'd be quite... I was walking around with him and Cliff. I felt like a munchkin.
How big was Cliff in comparison to Strotty?
They're about the same height, I think.
Because fucking hell, like, Cliff towers over me.
Yeah, they're both big guys.
Big guys.
Yeah.
I was just starting fights in comic conventions because I knew they'd back me up.
Matt gave a couple of lists. I'll just give a shout out to a couple of them. Obviously, Mirka and Dolfo, who he met at Baltimore. And favourite podcast, not called the ACP, Ask Chuck Dixon.
I must get into that. I might start down if that's on Spotify or something. I must listen to that because I like Chuck Dixon's writing.
Is that a new one? Has he been doing it?
It's been about a while. I think there's a few episodes of it rather.
He's put his favourite comic related movie, MFKZ. What's that?
I don't know. I've not seen that. Is it an animation, isn't it?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Listener,
Okay.
if you know, why don't you leave a 5-star review and put it in there?
Oh, I
place
love
these
that,
guys are
Tom.
gonna read it.
Leave a 5-star review and put it in there.
Put it in there.
That's the quote of the episode.
Oh, here we go. It looks
It's under
like
there,
kind
isn't it?
It's over there, isn't it?
It's under there.
It's short for motherfuckers.
Oh, okay.
MFKZ, and it's like an animation film.
Okay.
One of those cartoony things.
Is it under there then?
Well, Matt, we don't want any of that sort of potty mouth nonsense on this show. So.
I swear on all that
Fucking
shit.
sort it
Honestly.
out.
Disgusting.
Honestly, Matt.
Who wants to go next?
Awful.
Who's next?
Might be me, you know.
All right, go on
It
in.
is.
I'm going to go to Zach Cobb. He says, despite 2023 not being a great year for me personally, I'm happy to say there have been silver linings. For me, this
Good
year
man.
I finally got to meet Ryan Utley, Dan Slott, Declan Shavey, and I was over the moon. Being part of the Work in Progress Comics Anthology Change
Oh, I've got
Kickstarter
that to
campaign
read. Yeah.
was amazing, and love to see the support take us through the stretch goals. Has been nothing but incredible. As a comic reader, it's been joyous to discover titles that made me really excited for New Comic Wednesday, which is not an emotion we cross that often. And
No, that has
mentioned-
come back,
That
isn't
is
it, this
so
year?
good.
I
for
think?
me, it's come back the last couple
Yeah.
of months.
And Zach's
I
a
agree with him.
good lad. I like Zach
Yeah.
a lot. And
Yes,
he's
yes.
another one. I know we gave a shout out earlier in the year, but his artwork is fucking leaps and bounds. Not
yeah,
that it was
God,
ever
yeah.
bad, but he's
No.
cracking on now, isn't he? Yeah.
It's really
Lad.
simple. Like if you try and put work into it and practice, you get better. It
Yeah.
took me fucking ages to work out. Just do it more. And it really pays off.
Yeah.
And a quick shout out to JWC, who was a guest earlier in the year, was it?
Yes.
Yes.
She was early in the year with her
She was
husband.
on
Yeah.
her and-
episode 246.
Oh,
thank
nice
you.
one. Cheers.
Oh,
Dan.
and a bit more recent when we talked about the digital stuff.
AI.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah, AI,
Sorry, I missed
yeah.
that one. Apologies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had her and her lovely husband on, and we talked about machine learning and AI art, and barely scratched the surface. And that subject has not gone away.
It's
It's-
got incredibly complicated even since
Even
then,
more
and I didn't
complicated.
understand it then. Yeah.
Even more complicated, and the discourse about it is, again, like a lot of things, extremely polarizing. I'm trying my best to sit on the fence, not sit on the fence in that regard, but kind of try and take an even-handed view of both sides of this issue.
Yeah, I think that's generally what good people do, isn't
Yeah.
it, Dan? Do you know what I mean?
But I'm not going to
Yeah.
sort of say, oh, everyone who likes AI art is a fucking
Is an
Hitler
Nazi.
and blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. But
I mean,
go on, Tom.
no. It's okay. Carry on.
Well, even in my job, like with now on Photoshop, there's generative AI stuff in that now.
Right.
So like there's times when I get asked for something, can you extend this image? And I'll click on it and then say generate, and it will use stuff in that image to generate more of a background or something. And it's
Okay.
like that is a step down that road.
There's that fine line somewhere, isn't it, that doesn't actually exist anymore, does it? Seemingly,
Yeah.
because it's sort of
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
become
yeah.
so messy.
But-
It's become so complicated, right?
Yeah, so much stuff. I know there's a complete difference from like just plugging all the artwork of Daniel Warren Johnson and say,
yeah,
generate.
yeah. That sounds
yeah.
that feels more dishonest, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to 394 was the episode of
Oh,
JWC talking
Thank
about
you,
AI
mate.
art.
Nice one. Cheers,
It
Tom.
was honestly, I'd recommend. This one's great, but maybe pause this one, download free,
Go about that.
check that one out, and then come back, and we'll
I think when we do maybe the end of the year show, we'll go and pick out our favorite episodes because
Oh, that's a good one.
we had a
Yeah.
couple of fucking great. Not saying
Blinders
they're not all
this year,
great,
mate.
but like, there've been some absolute stand-up ones which are like,
yeah.
wow.
And when it comes to
Favourites.
obviously topics
Yes.
like that as well, we genuinely go into them with the sort of informative, rather than let's try to be
The
opinionated.
knee jerk. Yeah.
And with that one particularly, there was some really nuanced and well thought out opinions,
Mhm.
well thought out ideas about it that I haven't heard from previous
Oh,
ideas.
cool. Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
And the fact that
Cheers, babes.
they've got some grounding and backing in that, and some genuine understanding, like from their backgrounds. It's like we're getting an informed, considered opinion here, and
Yeah.
you can't go wrong with doing that. Getting that.
Obviously,
Who else?
JWC has got a baby and toddler, but we look forward to more comics work from
Yeah,
Yes,
pull your finger out,
totally.
JWC.
because we're big fans on the show. Big fans.
Yeah, it's one of our favourite people, isn't she? We've been
Yeah.
seemingly. I remember when she got married. Do you know? It's like, do you remember she live streamed it, didn't she, for us?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
What an honour.
Yeah, how great is that? Yeah,
really cool.
It shows the friends that we've made around the world on this podcast.
Yeah,
it really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and sometimes all it takes is just to discover a new creator.
Yeah,
and they listen. Anyway, who wants to go next?
Is it me again now, or is it you, Tom?
I was going to have a crack actually. If that's
Go on, mate. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And someone else had a crack at filling in the Slack is Jonathan Safest. I've fucked that up. Sorry, Jonathan. He's really happy how the year went. He's had 3 comic stories written, drawn, and letters and accepted, published, including one in the mighty DUI 3.
Hey,
yeah.
Also, he's had an essay on Captain Britain, complex fandom youth in Simon Russell's Wonderful Madeline, which is a brilliant little.
Saw Simon today. Had a coffee with him today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He's also an essay on the art of Moon Knight and sequel art just published in Wax and Waning essays on essays.
I like those sequel art books. I tend to buy all of them. Actually, I must get that one. Yeah. Okay. The Green Arrow one was great.
Yeah. So no,
nice.
Good work, Jonathan.
You were showing that June book off this week, Tony. That looked lovely.
Oh, mate, it's so good. Yeah. It's so thick though. It's got pages like it's a Bible. You know, they're so thin pages.
I rewatched the 80s one and part 1 of the more recent one.
Ah, right.
I did start the Children of Dune on Amazon. I was like, I can't do this. I've watched.
That's a difficult watch. That's not a great one. I've got the mini series that predates that, the June mini series from Sci-Fi Channel on Blu-ray. I've got a German copy, but it's got English on it, so I might give that a go at some point as well. Yeah.
I've watched that.
To June Talk.
Yeah,
yeah.
Man, I'll do a June podcast any day of the week.
We'll have to schedule it in June. Anyway,
talking of Sarah Webb has also put lovely comments on there as well.
Yeah.
So for Sarah, her best thing for her is publishing her first ever comic.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well done.
Running the first Kickstarter and getting the goal, and also having first table. Nice work.
Nice.
And also just generally meeting you love a lot, and all support from the pod in these chats. I definitely qualify.
Yeah, Sarah's a good egg, isn't she?
Yeah.
We've got Sarah and the other Sarah. They're both good eggs. There you go.
Yeah.
Who's a good jump
Nick.
Somebody else. Yeah, do Nick, and then I'll do Alan.
Nick, it's been a slightly quiet year for me creatively due to having very little money left after doing a big 2022 Necromancer book. But the MCM Thought Bubble Double in the last couple of months was still lovely, and very happy with the reception to Stone Cop. But I did think I'd make good on my plan to pitch more anthologies. Nick's listed a ton of titles he's got there, so we'll save them for the more upcoming stuff.
I mean literally, if you're into
Stone Cop, and Necromancer.
There's one. Yeah, Stone Cop's awesome as well.
I bet that. It's good. Yeah.
But I know we're not necessarily reading out these recommendations that listeners have, because we'll probably mention them at a later date. But if you're interested in it, then check out this chat on the Slack, and you'll just be able to add loads to your wish lists, which is what we've been doing anyway.
I got you Layla Star, didn't I, Tom? Many moons ago.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. How did you find it?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Okay.
Really solid. Yeah. Really, really good book.
Cindy and Biscuit's good as well. We talked to Dan White.
Yes, and he's due to come on someone soon. I've just got to sort it out.
Yeah, that's come out through. I'm going to say Drawn and Quarterly. I don't know, one of the two.
I think it's Fantagraphics. I think. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. That's a great book. But anyway,
it's a good fun book there. So next message from my old mucker Alan Henderson. Well, it's been a funny old year. My creative output has been down. I promise a new Penguin book is coming soon. No, really, please. Yes, it is. I think he's hinted at that. He's put a little graphic up, hasn't he? So it's going to be Kickstarter in the new year. So I'm looking forward to that. I always back his book straight away.
The bell.
Plans to get paintbrushes back out. I think when I first met Alan, he was sort of painting. He did like a kids book. I think it's the first time we ever spoke, and I reviewed it for Down the Tubes. I did get to appear on the podcast of this parish and dive into original art. That's right. We did the 08 episode with Al. That was a popular one as well, wasn't it? Yeah. And he's a regular guest on my podcast as well on NIA. Well, our podcast, me and Al, really. He's on it virtually monthly. My main aim for the year is to re-find the fun. I cut back on con work. I'm just tired of selling at conventions. If you do it right and do it well, then you should treat it like a job. I'm fed up with people saying my sales ain't great, then watching them at events, not putting the effort in. Yeah, very true. Yeah. So I tried a few events as a punter for a change, which I attended with him. Me and Cannon wandered around the Glasgow one together. I guess to find my niche, if I don't know people to chat to them, their events are truly awful. Positives, getting an original piece of art from Gerhard at the Lakes. Man, how good is that? Did you see this?
Brilliant. No.
Yeah. Cerebus dude, like beautiful. You guys, okay, some of you, all right. And his favourite book was Leonard Cohen on a Wire by Philippe Girard, which was a great book as well. It looks amazing. Al's inner circle man for me, like proper good guy. We WhatsApp most every other day, sort of with jokes and stuff. I'd sent him one today. Yeah, he's a good lad, Al. He's got that. He walks that of being like a massive comics fan, and also extremely busy creator, and holds down a massive job as well. So yeah, he's a lifer, isn't he, Al?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Speaking of another lifer, I'll pick this one up. Gary Watson, our pal. A strange year for me too. Completely dropped my pull list early in the year.
I know, I was shocked by that.
After having one for 20 plus years. For a mix of reasons, cost, quality, etc. Let's not forget, on the back of this, that this is obviously a luxury expense, and it's a hobby.
But it's not the only person we know who's been dropping them. Multiple people.
Shouldn't feel bad about having to drop comics because you have to, because other things are more important, and the comics will still be there, hopefully. And that was across most publishers, not necessarily just the big two. I did delve into my to-read pile, though, and got obsessed with Elseworlds stories again.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, he's been talking about that on the Slack quite a lot. Yeah.
A mix of those two got me through 117 graphic novels, one-shot series, and God knows how many individual issues, so getting back some reading time after struggling to find any between work, being a dad, and other life stuff taking over. Comics has always been there, though, and it's been good to read for the sake of reading again, which is a big win, which I think is an important point to make. Just read it. Just read because it's fun, and also it's reading.
Yeah.
Reading's always good.
You should be enjoying it. If you don't enjoy it, don't read it.
Exactly. He did say, didn't back as many Kickstarters as I would normally, as the postage costs or campaigns that work out postage after things had run their course seemed to jump up from what I could see. We'll talk about that and probably in the future as well. What I did back was pretty amazing, though, so the quality of indie releases and variation is still an inspiring blend that will hopefully get me back to some reviewing in 2024. Cool. And that's good to see. Like, indie comics are always, there's always a time. Sometimes when you just think, I'm not reading anything that doesn't, and then then a comic could come up, and you'll just be like, wow, I love comics. Do you know what I mean? It never sort of leaves you completely, does it? Even when you think you read 5 bad comics in a row. I'm not saying we have, and then
I have.
The sixth one will be like, here's why you're doing it.
Yeah,
and that's always good. Okay, who wants to say?
I always think the effort that goes into a page of comics, man.
Yeah.
We're lucky, aren't we, to see that every day?
Oh yeah.
And all personal sort of like thoughts and opinions aside, shout out to anyone who does the work to put out a page of comics, because just a single page is hard work.
Yeah.
So.
People really underestimate that, and obviously not our crowd, but generally, like, punching out a whole comic is a fucking achievement. It's really, you've done really well.
Yeah, especially for you art monkeys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who wants to take the next one?
I'll go for it if you want.
Go.
Yeah.
Stephen McCluskey, is that right? I'm not sure if I got that name correct, so apologies, Stephen. You know what? This is
Envision Comics.
Envision Comics. It's an age-old thing of us fucking up names.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's what the show does. It's what the show does every week.
My highlight for 2023 has been the domino effect of joining the Slack community. Comics has always been a solo pursuit for me, so it's just great to be involved alongside listening to the ACP. Feels like I'm actually part of a comics community for the first time, even if it's in a small way. The Slack and the ACP have put so many books on my radar I've adored this year. He's got a list of them. There's some fantastic titles that we
little
would
cheeky snake claws and in waves in that list. Good boy. Yeah.
On a personal note, I finally started making regular small change profit from my creator-owned titles on Kindle Comicsology. Which, of course, I spend more on comics.
Millionaires.
I still not have bothered redoing Vanguard and everything on the new Kindle stuff.
Stick it on Globalcomix, man.
Yeah, should do that. Yeah.
Every time I still click on the Comicsology icon and they say, you need to go to Kindle. And I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Oh, fuck off. I've been reading that over the weekend and it's really ugly, that app.
Yeah.
It's
just like you can't even buy things in it anymore. I thought that was the whole point of it.
Yeah.
They've just killed it off, frankly. That's,
it's annoying.
Yeah. So next we've got Josh Strong, just one name, like Prince and Madonna.
Or Topol.
Just Josh needs one name only. In general, they've really enjoyed their pool list this year. A lot of brilliant. Boom, Time for Time, just wrapped up after a 2-year run, and I'll be sad to see it go. He's also enjoyed some other books I'm not going to mention because Cheeky Monkey, we're saving that for later.
Yeah.
Also great to see the in-scene is still going strong. Kickstarter, Zoop, and Globalcomix, etc.
Yeah.
Creative-wise for Josh, 2023 has been great for him as well. Looks like finishing the issue of my story before the year end and tabling at conventions. First time was sure to be a highlight. Nice work, Josh.
Yeah, nice one, man.
Good stuff.
Good to hear. I'll jump in with Gareth Brooks. He's a list of comics there. He said the best event was South London Comic and Zine Fair.
Yeah, I've heard that's good. I must go next year. Really I just couldn't do it this year. But Gareth's an old friend of mine, and he contacted me and said, look, he misses talking comics. And I think that's evidence that a lot of social media people don't really talk about it anymore, do they? Mm-hmm. So he said, what's the Slack like? I said, oh, fucking hell, come on. Yeah, we used to be table mates, Gareth. He's a top bloke. Yeah, good geezer.
There is a couple of mentions of some wonderful comics that we need to check out, but one that Fast Furiously by Claude TC, who's a great,
I haven't read this. Yeah, I used to like his stuff.
Which is a redrawing of the first 2 Fast and the Furious films, which seems a good use of hourly comics day. That sounds great.
The old sort of taking the piss out of movies in comic form sense is like the hotness at the moment, isn't it? Yeah.
God, I'm gonna get crucified for not remembering the guy's name. The one who did the Cats zine.
Oh, Matt Simmons.
Matt Simmons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had the RoboCop one recently, didn't we, as well?
Yeah.
And we had the Aliens one.
Yeah. Love his work.
Who's next?
Okay, who's next?
Alex Hum, the bloop guy, the bloop in the pigeon pandemic that I used to say all the time on the comic
chat.
Yeah, so I spent shockingly little time this year buying and reading new comics. Now I think about it. Enjoyed the Hard Switch, new Daniel Clowes book for Christmas, so that may change. So I think that might be in your top
list. Definitely, mate. It's definitely out there for me. Waiting here. Yeah.
My comics highlight would be rereading my old Panini Astonishing Spider-Man books 1 to 150.
Wow.
As I started collecting them when I was a kid, who did a fair bit of looking into the pictures and reading. They covered just before the Clone Saga to the Sins of the Past story. He just found one on eBay. He had struggled to get hold of. On a personal note, I was proud to get my new book kickstarted out to backers. I'll release it generally soon once an issue with Mixum is resolved. Thought I'd forgotten about how tough running a campaign can be on the old self-esteem. It can be tough, I tell you. I've done been part of a couple of games this year, and on a personal, I was proud to get my new book. I've already read that, and lastly, getting and staying up to date with the ACP and slowly trying to be more present in the community has been great with lots of interesting and informative shows. For example, I'm never going to Doctor Who and haven't read much about Dracula, but both of your episodes were a good listen. Here's to
thanks, Alex.
Yeah. Cheers, Alex.
Alex is a great creator as well. Like very.
Yeah, I've got that on my Dropbox ready to read actually this week. The one I backed that one. Yeah, I might handle the next 2 if you don't mind. Robert Harningham.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Didn't get to any cons this year because of work. He's quite busy with work, but highlights would be ACP, NIN, and Megaseek Book Club. Thank you, mate. 20th Century Man, another shout out for that, and also another shout out for the Globalcomix app. He's always discovering books as well. He's doing a Valiant readathon. So when we talk about projects, he's doing the OG Valiant. I mean, he and I talk quite a lot about the global. I mean, we were always sort of pointing each other in the direction of stuff. Rob's a great dude, man. I've met him a few times. We met him, Vince, at Lawless. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We met him in the exhibition room. Yeah, I've met him at Strange Apparitions, which I think is his regular shop. Keep going, Rob. Thanks, mate, for taking part. Johnny Cannon, the marvelous Cannon, he mentions quite a few books. I know Blood of the Virgin's been mentioned quite a few times as well. There's some other stuff that I'm sure will come up, and he also very kindly mentions my book. He's been buying a lot of back issues too. Some Legion of Superheroes featured heavily. My personal highlight was finishing and publishing the United Going Underground. It's been lovely seeing a very positive reception to the comic. I know it's turned up quite a few times in the best of list, which you'll hear soon. I really enjoyed working on Vigilantia with Alistair Black as well. Alistair's a great dude. Top bloke. Yeah. I only did a couple of events this year, but it was lovely seeing good pals in person again. Yeah, Johnny's a good friend of mine, actually. We text quite a lot about comics. And the thing is, whenever he texts, I know it's gonna be non-stop. And it will include the words Ditko and Toth at some point in the conversation. But and I said this when his comic came out. Sorry to interrupt, Dan, but it's evidence of him studying comics.
Brilliant.
That book. Yeah. And I saw it on the shelf in Gosh today. So there you go. If you want a copy, go buy it there.
He's got some lovely anecdotes which he tells on the Slack.
I've got to say, if there's ever a reason to join the Slack, it's Johnny is a well-connected man.
Yeah,
as you'll see.
I think someone said this week, if you don't read that on the Slack, we're going to revolt. If you don't read that on the pod, we're going to revolt. He put some long, elaborate story, like just about how he's friends with people and all this sort of thing. And
like they'd tell you a story about how like they used to eat baked beans on toast on the settee together or something. You're like, okay.
When it started, people are like, when he started doing it, people were like, is this real? Yeah, it was making me die. Yeah.
Went off to get a packet of Monster Munch, and on the way, into a Tesco shopping trolley.
Yeah. I think this is the last one coming up as well, guys. Who's got that?
Yes.
It is.
Who wants to take the last one?
Guest?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, finishing us off strongly because, well, he's got the shoulders to do so. It's E&M. Shocked how good the Kurosagi reprint at D&Q are putting out.
I've got the first two. I haven't bought the third one of these yet, so this was interesting. Yeah.
He loved the first book a year ago. The second was an absolute breath of fresh air. And the third, a word I'm not going to say, begins with an N, beat both of these, and there are 7 in total. 4 more to go. Top tier literary comics, better than anything else Ian's ever read.
Oh, good stuff.
There wasn't a naughty word you said with the end there.
No,
we just can't say it.
Yeah.
Dyslexia was getting the better of me, frankly.
Nijishiki.
Nijishiki, yeah.
Nijishiki.
Yeah. Talks of Back by Misari Yamada was 2022, but read it this year. Shockingly good. Giving voice to a housewife in Japan in the 70s. It gave access the window into the thought process of someone with life experience a world away from mine I'd never seen before. I'm going to take that and put it on my own list.
Mate, that sounds great.
That sounds interesting.
That's one of the beautiful things about comics being able to
That
do
sounds
things
great.
like
And he mentions that Blood of the Virgin again,
He
by
does,
Sammy
yes,
Harkin.
by Sam Harkin. Easily book of the year. Different contents, different characters, intuitive sorting. A really beautiful book. Nice work, Ian.
He also says Fantagraphics is still the publisher that is most ambitious in their content. Interesting. I think.
I think there's a good case for that. I think.
Certainly next year at some point, maybe we'll do a couple of shows where one we can focus on Fantagraphics, one we can focus on Drawn and Quarterly. Just some of those, Only Press, some of those long-standing.
I think Fantagraphics and Drawn and Quarterly are the two companies that a lot of comics makers in our circle aspire to be published by. I think. Yeah. And it's certainly Fantagraphics is certainly the one that's talked about most at places like TCAF and LCAF and all these sort of places.
And certainly, if we can, we'll try and get people from the companies to come on and talk to us because that's what we love to do.
Although I don't think Gary Groth will.
But you lot did.
We could ask him.
And thank you very much for all of that. There's a lot of things we were going to add to our wish lists and stuff, and very enjoyable. Thank you, Tom, for helping us read us all those.
Oh, that's okay.
Cheers, Tom.
I know.
That wasn't too bad. I thought I was going to be mad that. But it's all right.
Yeah. Just keep the pace up, chug through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've all got our our fave lists. I don't believe in best ofs because I don't think one is better than the other. Like, for instance, something that Tony will like is a different flavour to something I like. So it doesn't mean it's better than.
But if there's something that we don't like and people do, they're generally wrong.
They're wrong, and we're right, and we're always right, and that's why you listen to us. So, who's the suckers? No,
Our enemies are ontologically evil, and there's no wrong that is not.
Where's he been today? What's happening now?
I don't know. He's just realised he was sat on his thesaurus.
He sent me an IMDb link. I'm going to look at that. What is it?
That's that film we're
talking it's that thing.
about.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But never mind films. We were talking about comics, and of course, it's great to see that so many people have been enjoying. What I get from that is the community. We wanted positivity, and that's exactly what we've got. As long as you have enjoyed your comics year, no matter who you are, whether you're on that list or not, just sometimes when you look back on the year, you think, "Oh God, I'm glad this year is over," which I think everyone does at some point when it gets to the end of the year. But even when it's like that, think back to, "Oh, I read that. That was awesome." There's so much in comics to look back and be thankful. This is almost like a Thanksgiving episode, isn't it? And be thankful for in comics, whether it be like the events or the socials or like collaborations, and that's a real heartening thing to see and inspiring. So thank you to the community for. It's the first time we've really done something like we've done questions and answers before, but this was a real sort of
give a shout back to those people.
Put the mic open to the community.
Look, there's a lot more people listen to us on a week. They're on the Slack, so if you're listening, don't be shy. Come on, come in. It's a laugh.
Yeah.
Please don't join the Facebook group because that's closing.
Yeah,
because we got inundated with porn.
Yeah. Basically, yes.
Yeah. This has been fun, of course, and of course we'll probably do it again in the future. Probably the end of next year. We'll probably make this a regular thing. What did the community think of comics in this particular year? Because I always think that's fascinating anyway, because comics is a bubble. UK comics is a bubble within a bubble, and this us on this show are a bubble within that bubble that's within a bubble in the bubble. So so it's nice to know what's going on in the outside world beyond and what you guys are enjoying. because also we make note of them and then we read them ourselves. That's basic. We want to know what we want.
Yeah. There's loads of stuff on the Slack I go and read. Yeah. Also, it's always stuff that I didn't realise was out yet, and then someone says, "Oh, you've seen this." Yeah.
We do have quite a few recommendations this
I
week.
think. Should we start with the sad news? Should we start with that one?
Yes.
Yeah. So just before we go rabbiting on as we do, I think it's very sad today that we found out literally a couple of hours ago that Ian Gibson had passed away, the 2000 AD and more creator. I'm going to say the first. I think we've kind of known he hasn't been well for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But it's sad that he passed away today, and he's a massive part of British comics and more. I'm going to say my first experience in reading his books was Robo Hunter in 2000 AD, which I was a massive fan of. I think it's absolutely underrated as a 2000 AD book. Just brilliant. It's one of the few bits of fan art I've ever done is Stogie. Do you remember he had that cigar that talked to him? Probably best well known for Halo Jones.
Yeah,
that's where I know him from.
Gonna say,
yeah, same.
Yeah, lots of Dread. He did some Star Wars droids, which a lot of people will read who aren't particularly in our circle, I guess. Mind of Wolfie Smith, Green Lantern Corps. He inked over Joe Staton quite a lot for DC Comics in the Millennium event comic, if you remember that. And also one that I think gets a bit forgotten that I'm a fan of is Steed and Mrs. Pilbert with Grant Morrison.
Okay.
A little bit of a renaissance a few years ago, and I think is a really readable and interesting prestige format.
He's fucking done his time in the trenches.
Yeah, loads of Dread, man. Yeah, loads of stuff.
And a really distinctive style that has influenced many, many people.
Yeah, and I think
even if
he
you don't
fits
know
with
the
Joe
name,
Staton.
you've seen the artwork. I'm sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I hope he got his due for the Hello Jones audio play book stuff and all that sort of thing. But massive. I think I'm going to say we met him at Lawless that time.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we saw him there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Very impressed with him there. It's a sad loss, but there you go.
Was that when we saw like an original bit of artwork? You know, when I was
might be, I think
through
so.
those huge portfolios, and
that was
usually involves me like looking at pages, going, "Oh my god, look at that!" Just over and over and over.
Yeah,
that was Tommy Boy. You were there as well, weren't you, Tom?
At Lawless.
Yeah, when he was there.
Hold on, I'm just trying to think. I wasn't Lawless.
We went and had that picture, didn't we? Sitting outside the church down the road.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, nice. Yes, I wasn't that one. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, apologies. Sorry. Yeah.
Halcyon days.
Yeah.
Shout out to my buddy and collaborator Rachel Ball, who I caught up and had a coffee with this week. She was showing me some of her work in progress stuff for a secret project you might hear about soon. She's a great creator, Rachel, but massive fan of hers as well as a friend of mine. And a big shout out to the tribute crew, Foul Pete, 4P and Cliff. They never stop entertaining me, to be fair. It's been great creating comics with, we were talking about this earlier with everyone else's favourite bits of the year, and that's one of them for me. Yeah,
brilliant.
Good stuff. We've got some books coming out very soon from them.
Nice.
Good. There you go. And you've got one that I wanted to do as well, Dan.
Have I?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're in the shout outs, Dan.
Yeah.
So.
We're in the shout outs, yes. I was going to give a shout out to Tolling in 2024. The Penguin presents their Bell, new book coming soon from the aforementioned Alan Henderson. So check that one out. We've got the 13 Against the Earth from the Earth 2 podcast, starring some questionable voice
I
actors.
see. Okay.
I think that accent idea was fine.
That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Listen, if it's good for Benny Hill, it's good for
Oh
him.
no.
Well, people were doing American accents and stuff. I thought it would be insulting if I just did it in a voice of someone who grew up in Hounslow.
Look. I cannot control him if he's on another podcast. So I'm not available.
I sent you the audio.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you did.
So
It's great to be included, though. Thanks, guys. Yeah. I love the Earth 2. I always listen to it straight away as soon as it comes out. It's great, and it's normally just David and Pete reading the story out. But they got a load of guests in for the last couple of episodes. Go and download them; they're great. Some people who can actually do some acting. And Dan, don't you play a German in it?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
I play
a German soldier.
Yeah. Good.
I do a death yelling one of them. I think I can't remember the page. I think I get clocked around the back of the neck by someone.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, is that you? Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's me.
Well,
it's me.
God.
I got my wife to actually strike me around the back of the neck to kind of make sure it was legit again.
We've had a couple of phone calls from Big Finish about that, haven't we? About getting this on.
Yeah. It's good to.
I'm going to be the new brigadier.
We've got obviously September. The September rolling on. Me and Cole Henley drawing from the September list. So it's the Decepticon a day. And we've both got something special planned for Christmas.
I love the fact that when you post these, sometimes you go, I have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm really
No.
enjoying them. I'm
Yeah, they're
really
great.
enjoying them.
Cheers.
Yeah.
And like you
I
can
could,
go on, man. Sorry.
I from this one onward, I did one called Deathsaurus, which Charles Raymond said do that, so I put it in the list. From this point on, I feel like I've got my eye in with them. So I
Yeah,
like
mate,
the
they can't
quality
be
jumps.
draw.
Yeah.
You're storming it. Yeah, both of you.
Yeah. So good stuff. And one thing, the on the Slack, I'm trying to organize a Secret Santa draw.
Oh yeah.
I've had it running for a week, and we've got the draw thread. If you put your name in there this week, I'll match people up, and you get to draw something for someone else on the Slack.
So is it? Do you know who you're drawing for, and do they know you're drawing for them? Is that how it works?
No, you'll be.
Ah.
So you might be drawing for Tom. Tom might be drawing for me. I'm drawing for Vince. Do you know what I mean? So we don't know who's drawing for. And then on the day, we're going to all post it up in the Slack channel and say, look, this is what I did for you.
So a little bit of crafty research into what that person's into, you'll be able to find out.
What I'm going to say is, when I say you're going to put this thread up and who's got, like, I've done the draw, and I'll ask everyone to say, like, give me 3 things that you like or you'd like to see.
Good idea.
To give people a bit of an idea.
Good
so
stuff, man.
so
There's quite a few
I
people
like
put their
that.
hands up for it, isn't there?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, good whack of people. If you're hearing this and you want to get involved, join the Slack, join in there, and in you go.
Good stuff.
Nice.
And that's me on the shoutouts.
Nice. So I think, Tom, unless you've got any shout-outs?
No, not actually. Well, my nan, it's her birthday today. She's 19.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Nana
happy
Curry.
birthday.
Is she a listener?
She does
I
occasionally
hope
pop in
not.
every now and again, you know.
Doubtful.
Yeah.
But yeah, not often. But yeah, I mean, she might listen to this one.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, Tom, can you come over and see on birthday?" I said, "No, I've got a pod to record."
Yeah.
Training from the minute, I wake up.
Spin forward
All
to
right,
this.
too.
Yeah. We're popular with grandmothers everywhere.
Yeah,
So-
I am.
And some of them listen to the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. Anyway, speaking of podcasts, we're here to talk about comics. So let's recommend some comics
Yeah.
to you wonderful people. I tell you what, time flies when you're having fun, and it's just absolutely flown by. But like I say, we've got quite a few comics to talk about this week. So strap in. I said strap in, Tony.
What?
Get your pens and paper ready and get ready to add to those wish lists. And first, Tom, what would you like to recommend to the lovely listeners?
So I've got 2, a quick and a long. So I'll go for the quick first. If that's all right.
Go for it.
Yeah.
This was a very kind gift from Tony. Creepy, Volume 1.
I thought you were going to say I was creepy, but that's fine.
No,
It was a bit creepy.
creepy.
Yeah. Sent me a
And the
bottle of
comic
his
is
own blood.
called
Oh.
Creepy Tony.
And the comic is called Creepy, Volume 1, collecting creepy 1 to 5. I've been reading these at bedtime. I'm all
nice.
I'm all tucked up in bed. I've brushed my teeth. I've got my gym jams on. Em's next to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to read a little comic before bed. Perfect.
Yeah.
Have you been
Absolutely.
sleeping all right?
I've been. I mean, they thought it. I wake up. I've let go of the book. It's fallen on my head. It just.
You haven't been
Being
having
still-
nightmares because of the visions?
Because of
within?
Tony, because of creepy Tony.
Well, I mean, nothing more than usual, frankly.
Yeah.
But these are just great. These are like it's a big anthology collection of those classic creepy collections, and I would heartily recommend it. The art's fantastic. Frank Frazetta's all over it, which if you like his art, is it's just great, just really good.
It's basically a sort of soft cover version of the hardbacks they put out a few years ago, or a number of years ago. Yeah, they're much more affordable. Yeah, nice.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really lovely present, and just like a lovely kind of again, like as an evening read. Do you know what I mean? I get through 1 or 2, and then I'm off to bed. It's lovely. It's great. But the actual big recommendation for this week for me is the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service. So I got this from a Oxfam down the road. I was picking up a birthday card from my nan, and this happened to be there as well. I thought, let's pick up both.
She's had a double shout out this week, hasn't she?
She has. She's doing all right. She's gone from 0 to. She's really
0 to hero.
0 to hero, frankly.
She's my favourite nan.
Shirley Curry. She's really gone well on this one. Yeah. So this is put up by Dark Horse. The art is by Hoshu Yamazaka, and is written by Ijai Otaka. Again, English was put out by Dark Horse. It was published originally by Kanawara Shoten. And this, I've only read issue 1 of this sort of like quick 5-page, 5 issue omnibus. And essentially, it's about 5 graduates of a Buddhist college doing some work, granting the last wishes of corpses. So there are 5.
Sounds interesting.
Sorry, there are 6 people in the group. all of them interact with the supernatural in a different way. The main one, and our main sort of protagonist, being a Buddhist monk called, I'm just trying to get his name up here. Kuro Katsu, who can speak to the dead, but only very in very sort of like short sentences. And essentially, they try to answer the last wish of the dead corpse, to then try and gain some money to sort of like keep themselves in studies, which I thought was quite interesting.
Isn't that an interesting concept? You can speak to the dead, but only under certain conditions. So
exactly,
you can think of all kinds of examples. Tony can only speak to the dead, but he can only talk to them about his favourite comics. The dead would fucking hate me after a week, wouldn't they? You know what I
mean? The bit that so I'm going to go for a lazy analogy here, but the first Ghostbusters movie, they're not heroes; they're almost more like rat catchers.
Yes, exactly.
It's like pest control, right?
Yeah.
And that's the feeling of this. They're like a necessary evil in this world to get rid of corpses, be that from murder, suicide, or however the old age, and just then sort out the last wish to get rid of the spirits side of things. And I kind of like that sort of slightly more realistic rat catcher, pest control style vibe that this thing's given off. The art is fantastic, as a lot of these books are, and yeah, it's kind of like a creepy horror book without the body horror you get from Juto and Ito, for example. It's this much more sort of supernatural style horror. Okay. And there's some real fucked up shit in it, which I'm kind of really enjoying so far. So yeah.
Is it available to buy outside of secondhand markets, is it, or do you know?
So that's a really good question, because I've got a few more volumes to pick up. Right. I hope so.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
But I mean, yeah, it looks to be, again, through Dark Horse. I'm sure you can probably find it somewhere, but I haven't looked into it too hard at the moment.
Okay.
I love the. I mean, you sent us a picture of the cover earlier on the WhatsApp. I love the design of that cover as well.
And like the whole book has this slightly
strange infographic cover, almost, isn't it?
Yeah. It has this kind of like matte finish to it as well.
Oh, nice.
It's slightly. It feels like brown paper, which is quite nice as well.
Oh, I like that. Like dirty newsprint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really like it. Really, I've only read one issue of it. I think it's really fun. And if you're looking for like a horror manga that isn't body horror, again, Juto Ito is fantastic, but it's obviously a certain style of horror. This is,
and that's always the go-to name, isn't it? It's good to have.
Yeah.
There's a lot more out there.
And this is, I think it was a easy read for me yesterday. Just go through and recommend it for today. So there you go. That's awesome. My recommend.
Brilliant stuff, Tom. Okay,
cool.
Tony. What's your favorite?
I've got two this week. Progression issue 1, $1.99 on digital if you want to buy it from grandmyth.com. It's part of my Globalcomix reading project. It's written by Elise Francis, art by Ares Costamelo, letters by Joseph Oliveira. There you go. Published by, as I say, Grand Myth Entertainment. Lovely cover. I sent you the cover through for this. It shows a teenager. He's sitting next to a suitcase and a bottle of water. He's sitting on the curb at a bus garage and looks like he's waiting for someone. Lovely use of a nice amount of detail in that cover, but also gives it quite an iconic look. And also what I love about it is you get a storytelling element to that cover. You get personality, you get story, you get environment. You get a lot just from that, strangely, just from him sitting at a bus garage with a suitcase. You read into that, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
If there was one word, loneliness. That's what.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that very much plays into it. He's a kid called Edison, and he's in this situation where his parents have died in a car crash. But the book opens with him reliving the car crash in a dream and then waking up on the bus to travel to another town to live with his cousin, who's a cop in another town. So I think people make a mistake of doing a start to a story that doesn't really have any events. It's all set up. But what he's done, he's cunningly used these dreams, which are that happen occasionally in the storyline, as an exciting, horrific event at the start of it. So he kind of drops you into the action, but does it by the use of a dream, which I say he. I don't know it's a he or a she, but the creator uses that style, which I think is really good. Edison is soon sent to a US-based high school, and he's kind of an average dude. I think there's some suggestion he might be good at sports, but like everyone in the sort of the grand tradition of new kids in high schools in American movies, American TV series, he becomes a bit of an outsider. But he is very likable as a character. He's likable and relatable, which I think is important in this sort of story. His life's turned upside down when his parents are killed. So there's a real loneliness. You feel it because he's with this one cousin who's a cop. So I think that decision is made for a number of reasons, but I think one of them is that she's never there for him all the time. So he lives this life, and he goes into this school, and of course you have the bully. You have the kid who's bullied, who he befriends. You have the pretty girl who shows in the locker. So they lay out a very sort of, we recognise that storyline, don't we? We see it weekly, don't we, in movies and TVs, American TVs and series and stuff, and have done for decades, since The Breakfast Club and before, since you name it. But you could easily sum it up as being this rather run-of-the-mill high school situation type story. But there's these scene-stealing nightmares sequences that shove themselves into the narrative, and I sense that the realism and the you feel like there's a verisimilitude of you feeling you're in them as well when you're, because what I like it when they do this, so they don't show him going to sleep and having a dream. Suddenly you're thrown into this horrific situation. And you realise it's a dream at the same time he realises it's a dream as when he wakes up. That's a nice little story twist, I think. You see it occasionally, don't you? But it's well done here. It's I'll be definitely following it. I think it's kind of their first comic, the little project at grandmyth.com, and it's it's good stuff. Although weirdly, I don't know why they've done this. The page numbers are sort of written in handwriting at the bottom of each page, which gave it a sort of strange. Is this the PDF they meant to send to Globalcomix? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I liked it. If you've got Globalcomix, you can read it. It's in the indie tab. Go to the indie tab at the top, press on the indie tab, and you'll soon find it. I think it's one of the sort of recommended reads you'll find at the moment. But if you just want to spend $1.99, I don't know how that's going to translate into English, at grandmyth.com, you can do it there as well. So it's a good little buy. Yeah, a nice little start for me. There you go. Nice. That's my first one.
Nice. I'll jump in next before we get into a couple of sort of follow-up issues. I know Dan's got one and I've got some as well.
Yeah.
But my one's my next issue one that I picked up this week from Image Comics and Andrew Krahnke. I hope I got that right, Andrew. Apologies if I didn't. This is Bloodrik, issue 1.
I love the fact that it can be read in two ways. It can either be Bloodrik or it can be Bloodrik.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. And I also love the fact that on the cover, it's such a sort of black metal sort of design of the title that he has to put in parentheses underneath Bloodrik. So it says it twice on the cover.
Yeah, I'm seeing that sort of style of lettering quite a lot at the moment.
Yeah, that's
Strange Apparitions has it as their sort of shop logo.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's very much that black metal, corpse paint, all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that it can be really great as a logo. It can also be damn unreadable, which Andrew's clearly aware of, which is why he's written on there. Maybe he did. Maybe
that's a good idea.
Maybe the editor was like, might want to put the name underneath it as well. But what is it? Bloodrik is angry, confused, and starving. Unable to achieve success in his usual hunting grounds, he stomps his way into unfamiliar woods in an attempt to feed his stomach and heal his ego. What he finds will lead him on a journey of madness, violence, fire, and blood. Classic sort of barbarian like nonsense, which is what this book is. It is a very simple book. Andrew is clearly influenced by, well, it's a Conan inspired sort of character. And Tony, I know you've read this a few times.
Weirdly, I read this a couple of times. Firstly, I'd just like to say, open up the gatefold cover if you've got the physical copy. I think you might have to go to the last. Are you reading it digitally?
Yeah.
Yeah, go to the last page because that's the back, because it's a wraparound cover. But if you're reading it on the Kindle, the last page is the back cover. And I didn't realise this till I just opened it up. And can you see who's looking out the woods at him from the back cover there?
Oh, can I just say I picked this up after seeing said he was going to talk about it. I sort of rushed it this afternoon.
Yeah.
You got the bear looking. You got the bear looking at him from the woods. I didn't notice that till just now.
Yeah.
Mate, I've read this. I actually bought this because I thought you would do it. And I had seen the cover talked about.
Yeah, you sent me a picture of the cover. I think way when it was announced.
Right.
I remember check this out. Is this interesting? I saw the cover and thought, well, I'm going to read that.
It looks fucking. The cover's great. And we are absolutely 1,000% in the world now where we buy things based on the cover because you can never find the fucking interiors on a lot of these sites. I bought this off the cover, and I warmed to it much more on my second read.
Yeah.
The first time I read it, I thought, well, it's not much fucking happens.
Yeah.
It sort of goes hunting, is a bit sad and a bit mental, and the visuals are amazing. But I thought, well, there's not much happening, and then I kind of in my head made out the fact that there's not much happening on purpose.
Yeah.
And I kind of settled into it more. Does that make sense?
This, for me, is an artist's book. And I mean that in the best kind of sense. What immediately it was endeared to me because on the inside sort of cover is the backstory. And it's Andrew just basically telling you, hi, I'm Andrew, I'm an artist, I made this book, I've created this book. Here's the story of it. In 2009, I came up with this concept, drew a character, and thought that's quite cool. And then he details over the next 15 or plus years. We all know it. We've had that character that we've redrawn and redrawn. No, it's crap. He's tried to do stuff through to creating an Ashcan, which did quite well, and all of a sudden, and it's very hard on it's only one page, but in itself, it's a lovely page of comics because it's just an artist just being very open, sort of saying, I did this because I loved it. I've worked hard on it. I've reworked it. I've done this, and I've enjoyed doing it. And immediately I was like, I like this guy. He just wants to make this comic. There's just no other. Forget everything else. It's just he just wanted to make Bloodrik the comic. So when it gets to the next page, which is part 1, which is just called Nothing, which is a quite good title considering what you just said, Tony, because the first sort of issue, and this is a 40-page issue, there is a backup matter, but I'll get into that in a spot as well. It's the classic Bloodrik is that Conan sort of character. Doesn't really say a word. Other people are telling the story of, he was this, and it is someone that's working in a forge to begin with, which is beautifully sort of. I love they're strong colours, but they're sort of slightly desaturated, slightly muted, slightly pastel sort of way of doing.
Yeah. Some pages almost look like they've got no colour when you sort of flick through, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which adds, and Andrew's got if nothing else, just go for the artwork, people, because this is a beautiful book. And if he does original pages of this, all the line work is. I love his style. And Bloodrik he's walking through the snow. He's topless. He's all muscles. So Dan, I love him. And I mean this, and also the dude doesn't skip leg day because he's all fucking muscle. He's even got some of the. You can see some of Andrew's influence in some way because. He may be topless, but he's still got like a belt with sort of pouches and things like that. You can see the influences are on show, but Andrew's making it his own. And it's a barren sort of landscape of snow, like a forest in the snow. And sometimes there's pages that don't really have any dialogue. It's just this guy. He's hungry. He's hunting, building up that essence. And I mean, I haven't read it again yet, Tony. So
right.
In what way did that amplify the first story? Never mind the backup. We'll get onto the backup.
Yeah, they're kind of. I almost just see them as kind of one. The backup is just another story about him. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to bring up. But we'll get to that in a second. But this particular story, how did it sort of evolve on the second reading?
I think because I was just a bit pissed off it wasn't going anywhere, and I expected it to be like Conan on some fucking vast, storyline. But I just kind of settled into the fact that it's more Thrud than Conan in a way.
Yeah.
And it's just love the art for what it is, and you'll dig it. There's a couple of the bear's brilliant. There's a couple of bits in it that are amazing. The way that he shows the bloke, he pulls the arrow back on the bow and he's just holding it until this grouse pokes his head around a tree, and he has to hold it for so long. It almost looks like his arms are melting furnaces.
That bit is lovely.
So good, yeah. And I just think I settled into just appreciating it more. I bought the physical copy and read it then. So it was the difference between reading it digitally, which I did really early this morning, and then I bought the physical copy at Gosh and was reading that. So maybe there's a touch of that about it, just seeing the quality of the pages, 2 pages at once. I don't know how you read your comics, Ollie, but I tend to read it as a scrolling page,
Do you think it'd be fair to say this is all style, no substance? And that's not a bad thing.
I think
it's all personality and no story. I think.
Yeah. That's better.
Yeah, because what I find about this issue, which is what I always say is about the issue ones that I'm trying to go, is let's see what happens in issue 2. Because this is I think I've got an idea of the flavour of the storytelling, of who. I mean, in this issue, you know who this dude is. I think he's probably the least complicated thing in it. Even though some of it does get quite trippy, it also plays with there's some wonderful sort of, as he's going in and out of consciousness as he's sort of hunting, and even some of the action scenes, like that. The hyper reality of it is this bear rushes out to attack him, but in the splash page where the bear attacks him, like the limbs are sort of elongated. It's almost a dreamlike sequence itself, isn't it? It's the way that
I love a story in the snowman as well. I just really like that.
Yeah, exactly. I like that because he, and it's not overwritten at all. Obviously, but it reads like those, classic sort of fantasy novels of someone going, as Conan was walking through the snow, you could feel it. It's almost like he's written that and then he's illustrating it. It's almost like it feels like two people working, even though it's one guy. Tom,
one thing I would add for this is there's a lot of narrative storytelling, and what I mean by that is, so you're right, there are not many words on the page, but if you look at small little details like what his bow and arrow is actually made of, like it looks like a staghorn, for example.
Yeah.
And there's lots of little narrative, and like all the arrow it doesn't look like a shop. It looks like it's been homemade. And there's all that small little narrative stuff that adds into the whole richer thing of it overall, rather than, I don't know. I just think there's some interesting. I think again a second or third read to really sort of see all the details that the guys put in.
Yeah. I think the thing about it is this is an exciting first issue from this creator that I hadn't read anything from before. I like as well. I like it when people sort of hand draw like sound effects, and there's one panel when the bear's approaching. It's just the sound whomp over and over and over again, and it's at the bottom of the page, and you just think something big is on its way.
He's got some energy to his artwork, hasn't he? He really has. Yeah, that's a good thing about it.
I think in terms,
it's almost an underground comic. If this was in black and white in a copy of Zap, you kind of go, cool.
I mean, in some ways, and this is no takeaway from it all. It almost feels like a reprint of something he had done on the indie scene and done himself, and Image is now just publishing it. Does that make sense? He's already
totally.
Yeah.
Which is part of the beauty of the energy of it.
Here's a question for you, Vince.
Go on.
Are you going to pick up issue 2?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on issue 2.
I am. I'm intrigued to see.
I've added it to my pool.
Yeah. I'm intrigued to see. I mean, the cover itself, yet more barren landscapes, so it's quite good. And it feels like the story's continuing. So let's see where this goes. I think, and this isn't an issue, but an issue with the issue. Oh, that's a word on it.
It is. Yeah.
But this one has a backstory as well. The way the book is, certainly in my digital copy, let me know if it's different in the printed gents, is you have this sort of cliffhanger and it says end of part 1. And the backstory pretty much starts straight afterwards. But because of the nature of the book and the backstory is also similar sort of setting, similar sort of, colour palette, it felt like the story continued. There was a brief moment of like, this is
it's a weird one. That
I
don't know if that's a little counterintuitive to the reading experience in a way. I think,
it would have been nice to have that sort of breakup. I think. I mean, he's got like like all classic sort of shorts. The title is in one of the panels, and it's called Hold Fast. But it took me a moment to think, this is a separate story. Because it flows so well after the last page. Because the book does flow really well, but almost too well. So that when it goes to a separate story, it took me a moment.
Could have been a change in colour palette just to make it clear. That it was either a side story or something in the past,
or maybe just do this completely black and white. So that
would have worked. That'd be nice.
Because it's got a real interesting feel to it. Because there's a guy telling a story of Bloodrik, but he's on a sinking ship surrounded by sharks.
That's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I do like that idea, though, if it's a continuing theme of like people in different places telling stories of this man.
Yeah, I've just sent you I've just sent you the image of the physical copy, Vince, on WhatsApp of the first 2 pages. Now you'll see how the reading experience is different when you get it laid out like that. If you have a look,
no, that's lovely.
Yeah, I actually think I always prefer the physical. We always prefer the physical. It's just necessity, occasionally chases us, doesn't it? But I really like the way that he uses the black space at the top of the first page almost.
Yeah. In my digital read, I read it sort of panel by panel, and it flowed nicely. But I must say, when I've gone back to just look at the issue, as I do now, because I always have a reference when I'm up here, that spread is just to the 2 pages. I can see the 2 pages, and it works so much better as the double page spread.
Maybe that's why I enjoyed it more in the second read. Is some of the,
Yeah, but
I would say that backup story, the pan. You mentioned it previously, Tony. The panel with the bow and arrow.
Yes.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
and it's like,
anyone who's ever pulled a bow and had to hold it knows that feeling as well. You know.
Yeah.
So make it look so easy in the films and comics.
Yeah. But obviously, Bloodrik 1 is definitely. Maybe it's gone under some radars, but put it back on your radars because I think this.
I think EOC mentioned it this week as well. I think hopefully it's getting some heat. There was 2 issues left on the shelf at Gosh. Yeah. I'm actually going to put money. I haven't listened to that episode yet, but I'm going to put money on it being Vince B. You liked it.
And it's 40 pages, and it's a mini-series. It doesn't say how many issues. Does it say how many issues it is? So I imagine like 2, 3, 4 issues possibly. So want to put in
I know the PXD read it. I was chatting to him on the Slack about it today.
Yeah. It's an artist book, and
shout out to the PXD.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Okay, Dan, hit us.
Transformers. I was going to do the next bit.
that was beautiful. That was so beautiful. It really caught us offside.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the
I
robots
was sexually
in disguise?
confused by your Transformers.
The Smash hit series continues. The Decepticons
already at issue 3.
Yes. As Optimus Prime and the Autobots regroups, Starscream terrorizes humanity. That's quite underplayed, that terrorizes humanity, because in this, people just get absolutely fucking murdered by Decepticons.
But this is an all ages kids toys book.
No, this is not like they. Imagine essentially the fans of Transformers nowadays are going to be like the older generation that remember it when they were kids.
The ones that want the kids' toys, but they want it in their grown-up heads.
So this is essentially the kids' toys in a grown-up comic.
Yep.
It's kind of reimagined, like the origin of the Transformers, where the Autobots in the beginning of their story, they crash into Earth in their ship, and then all come out and start kind of like interacting with the world. This is like a retelling of that story. And the Arks crashed in. A couple of kids, one being Spike, fires them off, and before we know it, like the Decepticons are kicking off. The Autobots are woefully behind, trying to get into the fight, as it were. And humanity's trying to fight back against the Decepticons as they're kind of like trying to get our Earth's natural resources to kind of like power up the rest of their kind of fallen comrades. They start attacking a local town. And the army gets involved, and there's like a kind of a jet fighter battle that Daniel Warren Johnson does. Absolutely amazing at rendering. And it's your first kind of introduction to another character in the Energon universe that they're building, which is kind of crossing over, as you know, with G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil it too much, but Starscream slaps his hands together with a human in the middle.
God! I mean, he squashed someone like a grape at the end of one of the issues.
Yeah, people are getting shot, stamped on. It's kind of like what you'd imagine with like a 4-story tall killer robot. What would happen to people?
And also, he's evil. He's evil, and he doesn't care for humanity.
They would die very quickly.
Dan, can I ask? Is there a reason you're reading this because of the Decepticon stuff you're doing?
No. I was kind of started reading this for.
There's an inspiration to do with Decepticons, is it?
No, not really. I just thought, right, I've done G.I. Joe in November, and I thought, well, what's another big kids toy line I used to like
MLP?
No.
Okay.
You want to get the money in, man?
Yeah.
Go where the dollars are.
Yeah, so I was like, the only way I can work in December, Decepticon, so I thought it was an easy fit.
Oh, fair enough.
I can't think of anything to do with January.
You're a trend leader, Daniel.
Yeah, it's kind of, the money's rolling in now, doing that. Banging out bootleg. IP.
How's
I just want to point out, I'm not charging for this.
You're not making money out of it. Yeah.
Hasbro stand down.
Still some prints at MCM.
Yeah, I haven't read this one yet. It's the one I bought that I haven't read yet because I'm also thoroughly enjoying this series.
Yeah, I've got 3. Yeah, as well.
In terms of, I mean, we could talk about how wonderful and fantastic the art, the robots and the fucking WWE wrestling that happens between Optimus Prime and whoever I fucking love it. But there's also the human element that he's putting in. How is that human story in this 3rd issue? Is it to the back or is it still bubbling?
He plays
away?
a lot. There's a lot of it in issue 2, aren't there? The human, the human
it's
transformer.
Great.
Element,
it's like with the 3rd part where kind of you got Daniel the kid and Spike, who's kind of like the dad living on the other side of the kind of where they are in this mountain range. And like when they realize the Decepticons are going over, it's like, my dad's over there, and then like takes off. And Optimus is very much the quintessential kind of the what you know of that character being sort of like he's on the up and up. He gives a shit about life in general. Really noble, really kind of like caring, considerate. He's just the absolute ultimate good guy. And when he's like, fucking hell, like this evil's been visited partly because of me. And they're saying that Prime, there's like loads of them over there. You can't go on your own. He's like, well, I'll go. And he takes off, and that Daniel goes with him. Or Spike is it? I can't remember.
I think with there are certain characters. Obviously, we all we cling to your Captain Americas or your Batman or whatever character it is. There's certain big characters, and people don't like it when they stray from the formula. I think that works in terms of like heroic motivations as well. There is a real. It's sometimes people explore the darkness, but I don't really want to see Optimus Prime be the general and the soldier and be like someone innocent is being killed over there, but the ends justify the means.
That's not Optimus Prime.
Yeah, exactly. Optimus Prime will be. I've got to stop that.
Yeah,
and I love that he's staying true to that.
The Decepticons in this, Tony, as you probably agree, they're absolute fucking shits. They're horrible.
Right.
They're real bastards.
Yeah.
Quite right.
Megatron's name gets mentioned in Starscream Pimp Slaps Soundwave.
That's a build-up.
To bring him up. Yeah.
That's bubbling away as well, which I love. I love that because I think that's going to be a real deal.
When the big dog turns up, so fuck.
Yeah, because Starscream's always been one of those, I should be leading. We don't need him. Oh shit!
He doesn't quite have the stuff though.
No,
does he? He's kind of. But it's great to sort of see all these characters play out. And
awesome.
Like I said, it's a comic made for kind of fans of what Transformers used to be then as a kid, I'd say.
Yeah.
You wasn't really into Transformers as a kid, was you, T? It was a bit.
No, it was a bit after my time, I think. Yeah.
How are you finding the comic?
I'm enjoying it. I'm just I don't have much of a history with the title. I think I read a couple of the UK stuff, comics, but I'm there for the art. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, he's great.
But it's the way that like some titles that are near and dear to you don't necessarily resonate with like me or Dan. I mean, me and Dan were the toy generation. When all of those.
Yeah. So the same as Masters of the Universe and stuff like that. I mean, I'm kind of into the Turtles because I like the early days.
Yeah.
But not the later toy days. Yeah.
Whereas, like, that was the shit that was pumped into my veins along with the Sunny D. I'm only joking. I never really got Sunny D. But
I'll tell you what, there's a documentary about the Turtles on Sky you can watch. And if you watch the first 30 minutes, it's all about the origins of the comic. It's fucking glorious.
Nice.
Yeah, really
Their
nice.
sales numbers are like, Jesus Christ. Like, they just jump and jump and jump. And it's like, man, imagine that. If you did those numbers nowadays, you would just be King Dingaling.
Yeah. I'm glad.
Can I just give a shout out quickly, just off subject? Thanks to the person who just gave a £50 donation to the DUI Mind Fund. I've just had a text from Eamon saying someone has just donated £50, which is extremely kind, whoever you are. Thank you. Yeah.
We'll be talking a bit more about that on next week's show.
Yeah.
One last thing, Transformers was done by Danny Warren Johnson, and the colours, I believe, by Mike Spicer.
I think he's his regular colorist.
Work really well together.
You can tell when two people know how to work well together.
That all injecting your self-writing self-inserts. That's not the case here with Danny Warren Johnson. Like, these characters are written as the characters, and it just absolutely rings true.
Because they're established personalities already, so you write them. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing we mentioned this before, but the only reason I feel like they're doing the self-insert stuff is because they literally don't know the characters. They don't know what else to do.
I think that's often common, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't put the work in.
Yeah. Okay, as that was a follow-up issue, I've got a few more issues to talk about. One that we'll go jump on a little bit.
You got a couple of quick hits? Or?
There's just a couple of quick hits. I just want to show some love to. I don't know. Do you know what? I spent a good, probably the first 3 quarters of this year reading great books, obviously, enjoying them, but thinking, where is that sort of looking forward to Wednesday? That kind of.
Okay.
I'm missing that kind of hit. Little do I know that the last quarter of 2023 would be like, oh, by the way, all your favourite issues are coming out now.
New comic book days really bent us over in the last 3 months.
This week I had 3 or 4 issues in 1 week. That is a joy to have that. To look at the digital shelf and go, oh wow, I'm going to be doing loads of reading this week. One of which is issue 3 of Midnight Show by Cullen
That's
Bunn
the Cullen Bunn one,
yeah. Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt, the guys behind the Sixth Gun. This is just so much fun. This really feels like I know it's based on the classic sort of Universal monsters and that kind of Monster Squad kind of vibe. Small town America being attacked by classic monster movies and strange things. But it feels like that classic sort of Saturday night monster mash movie. Get a pizza and some beers. You got the setup of the characters that are being picked up. I mean, there's some. And people die in this. Like one guy it was quite a surprising death, but it's also a gruesome death because Brian Hurt is an absolutely amazing artist. Anyone who reads the Sixth Gun will know that anyway. But he does not hold back on the grue. So there's innards, there's gore, there's brilliant monster designs of the classic Wolfman and the Mummy, but the story.
What is this? Is it a limited series?
Limited series, yeah. Because
how many do you know?
I think it's going to be the pace it's going. I think it's what does it say on the cover? I think it's 5 or 6. I could be wrong.
I was thinking I might get the trade of this thing because I feel like I've been left behind a bit.
Yeah, I think the trade it will be a great trade. It's also a Dark Horse, so it'll be a really nicely looking trade. But this, like I say, the rhythm of this feels like that sort of one and done sort of movie as well, which is great. So probably in the spirits of movies, I'd be interested to find a similar kind of book to double bill over a Halloween or something. It's really good. So Midnight Show is really, really good. Issue 2 came out of Petrol Head, Rob Williams and Parr.
Can I give another shout out to Eamon? If you get a Mega Seat Book Club came out today, he interviews the writer of that book.
Really?
Yeah. That's a little catch for Eamon there. Nice work.
Yeah,
Rob Williams. Yeah, cracking writer.
Yeah, we need to get him on the show at some point because I tell you what. Fuck it. Some people would say there's only been 2 issues, so it probably won't make my best of list. Fuck that. This is quite clearly going on the list.
I didn't know you liked that book.
No, you didn't know you liked it, but I've been quiet about it. I know, but I mean,
I stuck it on the gram.
The art itself, you can just reread just to look at the beautiful pages, but the story is. There's wonderful characters. There's laugh out loud moments. There is action that is to die for. Chases, explosions, robots, cars, like giant sort of mechs with, but a human story being told at the base of it as well from Rob Williams. I think Rob Williams was the one that wrote Intestinauts, for 2000 AD and worked with Parr.
Okay.
That. That's a series I'd like to check out, but. Yeah, if you've read issue 1 and got caught up by the world building that I gushed about, probably only a few weeks ago, wasn't it? I think. Issue 2 continues it, and even more so. Just you have to check out Petrol Head. I absolutely adore it. And the third one, of course, which we've been talking about for the past few issues, The Hunger and the Dusk, issue 4, by IDW, G. Willow Wilson. Christian Wildgoose and
mate,
I think artistically this is his best issue so far.
Yeah.
I was chatting to him this week because I put it up as my favourite issue on the column I write, and there's that shot of the pyramid building thing, and he said he was particularly pleased how that came out. He said,
the story gets bigger, but also a little bit more internal. There's a lot more internal things going on there as well. I love as the world expands.
Complicates, man, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the world is getting bigger, but the lens is getting smaller on the characters, if that makes sense.
We see a lot more of the politics in this one, I think, don't we?
With the orcs. That's what they're called, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the orcs, which is very interesting because you see that, there's people, everyone has their own agendas for things. I'm without spoiling the cliffhanger, the story, there's a bit of a big reveal at the end of the issue, and the lead up to it was wonderfully there was a real sense of dread, and that's due to beautiful artwork, character design, and wonderful colouring. Colours by Masick. Which is just amazing. Letters by Simon Bowden.
G. Willow Wilson's writing as well. It's really good.
Spot on, man.
Spot on. Really enjoying this.
Why don't they stick her on an X-Men book or something? 'Cause she's a cracking writer. Yeah.
Do we know how many issues are going to be in this set?
Is it 12? Is it 6? And it's in 2 lots of 6. Is that right? Not sure.
I did look. Go on, Tom.
I was going to say, so I've read issue 1 of this back from Free Comic Book Day, where it came out. It was like one of the comics in there. I haven't gone back to it, so I might. I might go back and check over.
Mate, you'll really like this.
Cool. We'll do.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's the influence by the tabletop role-playing Dungeons and Dragons world that we live in, but like any tale, any fantasy book, anything like that, even tabletop role-playing, it's nothing if you haven't got characters that you can latch onto. And obviously, we know Chris has got it covered in terms of each character being individual, in terms of what
this is almost a team book to me.
Yeah.
But also, it's a team book that I'm thinking, who's going to die this time?
Yeah, it's quite possibly anyone can. It's weird because you got the adventuring party, which is, I presume, I always viewed the A plot, and then you've got like the husband and wife team who were kind of like going into the political world as kind of the B plot. But for me, that switched in this issue, and they very much became like, oh man, I'm really fucking invested, and how these two get on. It was great stuff.
Yeah. So in terms of the great character design, the other tone of voice that I love about this is G. Willow Wilson's dialogue, because it's as individual as the character design. So
you can tell that Wildgoose Chris has had jobs designing costumes.
Yes,
in this. Everyone. I'd love to see his pages of just drawing these characters, because you can tell he has already.
Yeah,
it was. I was reading a fantasy comic the other day. I can't remember what it was, but it was like the vernacular was really felt really modern. Like
it's a mistake a lot of them fall into. That, I think. Yeah.
It's like, I can't believe he even did that or something like that.
Or
like,
is either super modern or just awkward?
Yeah.
Almost too Shakespearean sometimes.
This spot on. Absolutely
and it's not it's not in huge bombastic moments. I find that some of the strongest moments are like the quiet ones.
Yeah.
Like there's a moment where someone says, and I'm just going to read this bit of dialogue. You've got to see it in the whole context of the scene, of course. You contradicted the overlord of your dynasty, your own father. The Stonebacks who support the treaty will look to you for counsel now. It was very brave, whether you realise it or not. And there's a moment in that what's being said and what that character looks like when they're saying it is just, it's perfection. Because it's a powerful thing that's being said. And that's what I love about books like this. You don't have, I mean, I think from a writer's perspective, you're probably like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about the art because he's going to smash it, so I can just concentrate on the words.
Is it kind of like a big meeting of minds, like a kind of a meeting of the Senate, like in kind of Rome, and the orcs get together, and it's kind of on a knife edge which way this is going to go. Yeah. And the female character, I can't remember her name, steps up and basically speaks her heart and mind, swings the whole issue, but it's like, do you know what you just did? And we'll see those ramifications play out over the next couple of issues.
In the issue that I got, obviously, which is the digital, of course, like you can see, like I think they're variant covers and stuff in the back. Which is nice. I like that they put the covers in without the what do they call
the masthead and
the furniture, the furniture of the cover, without all of that on it, so you can just see the artwork itself.
Man, for the digital, they should just throw everything in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
It's already been paid for, so
yeah. So that is another one. So Yeah, sorry, folks, but you've got
Big
to buy all
tick.
these comics. So, Tony, do you want to take a shot?
Yeah, is this the last one? Okay. Small press shelf. Gosh, there's a book called Splat. It's a flip book. We haven't talked about this before, have we?
No,
I don't.
No, I would have remembered that cover.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
remember what we talked about last fucking
Yeah.
week. So
It's a God. Craig's got his work cut out this week, hasn't he? What have we done, Craig?
yeah, sorry.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry, Greg.
Great guest last week, incidentally. Yeah, it's a flip book. One side of the book is by Matthew Dooley, who did Flake, and the other is by former guest and friend of the show, Joe Stone. Matt Dooley's cover is Mr. Blobby, a twist on Mr. Blobby. So it's like Mr. Blobby with his head off, but he looks a bit like the Mr. Blobby character underneath as well, but almost like a twisted horror version. His head actually, remember when Sontarans take their helmet off and their heads sort of fill the helmet? It's a bit like that almost, Yeah. Do you remember Mr. Blobby's made a couple of entrances into small press comics recently? And who's the crew did like a horror book about him recently?
Yeah, wasn't it called like Blobby Horror or something? Like
something like that.
Bloody Horror.
I think Sarah Gordon did one as well. That was Nightmare Fuel.
Right, yeah. So, very popular amongst small press community in the UK. Nobody in America will have any clue Mr. fucking Blobby is because, it's a rather embarrassing side of UK television, isn't it, from the 90s?
Well, to be fair, we have quite a long history of fucking embarrassing things on TV.
We do. Let's be clear. Yeah. A5, Prestige, spined, only £6, not bad. I bought mine at Gosh today. Joe's cover it's kind of the end of a canon. It's a funny cover, Joe's one, because it's a flip book, so you get two covers. Joe's one, you can't figure out what it is until you read the comic, which is quite clever. Joe's got a couple of stories in. The first one is called Splat the Dog, and it's a story about a dad who believes that he's good enough to do abstract art, and he starts creating abstract art, gets a bit bored of his kid bothering him, and then something else happens and it gets transformed into something else. His second story is Danny Danger, the Human Cannonball, and it's about a lady cannonball. You climb into a cannon and get shot through a fiery hoop into a bouncy castle or something, but something goes wrong. And I have to say, I think this is my favorite bit. The whole comic is there's a great use of sky as she gets fired into the air. Very clever use of comics, Mr. Stone. Nicely done. Matt's got one about pigeons and where they choose to poop, also called Splat, so you can see the common theme there. Landed one on some ginger bloke earlier, says one of the pigeons, and I think that's Matt actually, who was shitting on. Splattered him right in his face.
Sorry.
And then Captain Splat, who is the Mr. Blobby character with a twist, obviously we talked about it, and things don't go wrong, and there's a sort of Noel Edmonds character in it. It's just fun indie small press comics. They're not trying to say anything super special in it. They're just doing comics about the word splat. It's probably the only place you could do this would be in small press. I can't imagine any of the big companies going for these. Oh, let's do a comic about birds shitting on people. It's just fun. I really liked it, and it was a good price. And it was the cover I sent you, the Matthew Dooley Splat Mr. Blobby thing, that calls to you from a shelf. I'll tell you now. When you see that on a shelf, you have to pick it up, and I did. And it's a fun little read. It's not a short read. It took me a while. It's 4 good stories in there, and it was £6. So I think that's good value for money. There you go. That's my second one.
Nice. There you go. So many comics to add to your list and talk about, and to be positive about, which hopefully this episode of this show is what it's all been about, because we want to finish off 2023 on a high. And there's nothing more high than having a boatload
Let's
of cocaine.
get high.
No, having loads of comics to read.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah, drugs for mugs. Hey! Jinx. We hope you have enjoyed this week's episode. And if there's anything, of course, if you want to let us know anything else that we should mention or talk about on the show, whether it be charity drives, like I say, we want a list of indie comic book stores to shout out wherever you are in the world. By the way, I know we've got listeners all over the world, so thank you very much for listening. If you want to shout out your local store, perhaps we might make it a weekly thing. Just each week, shout
Store of the week.
Store of the week. Well, that might be quite good for next year, I think.
It's not the nicest store in the world, but the Food and Planet near me burned down.
No.
Yeah, there was a fire in the flat above.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah, we
that was quite a decent sized store as well. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
the one on the Triangle in Bristol.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a fire in the flat above, and yeah, it was. We were in a restaurant nearby. Sorry, I've just gone off on tangent. We were in a restaurant nearby
Go for it.
on a Tuesday, and we started seeing smoke. And I genuinely said to people at the table, said, "Oh, well, at least it's not a Wednesday. They won't have the new comics in yet."
I mean, the thing about it is, I know some people they have their opinions on Forbidden Planet. That is also a store where some people get their weekly comics.
Yeah,
So,
I bought fucking
Stuff.
thousands and thousands of pounds worth of comics in Forbidden Planets in my life. So yeah,
The question is, will it reopen? You know?
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
why,
we'll see. We'll see.
Insurance job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that, T, but
Wow.
Excelsior still going strong. Excelsior down in the centre of Bristol town. It's great.
Yeah.
Love it. If you're in Bristol, go visit.
Good little
Love
store,
it.
that one.
Nice shop. Really good shop. Good people inside. Care about comics. And the number of times I've seen them, like someone's come in, said their son likes Batman, and then they found them something that suits that need.
No, good on
Nice.
good on 'em.
Really
that's
good.
Nice.
Just really good.
And speaking about people who care about comics, if you're listening, if you've gotten to this point, you clearly care about comics. And if there's anything you want us to talk about in there, Tom's quite impressed with what I just did there. If they want us to talk about anything,
Just a boy standing in front of a man learning.
if there's anything you want us to talk about, please there's several different ways you can get in touch with us. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. On social media, on one of them we're at awesomecomicspod, and on Instagram, which we're more and more active on, it's what is it, Tony?
I can't remember.
It's not that. I think it's at the Awesome Pod. I tell you what,
I think it is.
I've got to write that down. On
You
my
probably
notes.
got a friend request from me at some point this week.
I've got to put that in my notes. But anyway, we're on there.
Yeah.
So, and thank you for listening to us, whether it was on the website, awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, which I know a lot of people do, and thank you very much for that, leave us a nice review. Or give us just a 5-star review. It helps get the word out about the show, algorithms and all that. We don't know how it works, but the more people that listen to this show, more people discover a book that they may not know about, and therefore they'll discover some new creators. And if you listen to us on any other networks, like Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, what networks are we on, Tony?
We're also on the network MILF Submarine issue 1.
I remember that. That's a cool
That is a genuine comic on Kickstarter. MILF Submarine.
The cover.
Monstrous.
The cover is some
Yeah.
It is. I want to read it. I'm going to give you the summary now. 3 MILFs and their son's friend are trapped on a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. Pressure is rising, but what will burst first? 24 pages.
This is not a callback to that fucking one that went down to the Titanic.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Oh, God.
Slightly bad taste.
Oh, my God. Tony, let us know what it's like when you read it.
Will do.
Thank you once again to the one and only Tom Curry for joining us. Thanks,
Yes,
Tom.
thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you for having me.
And reading out the list with us, and thank you to you lovely Slack community for getting involved with this week's episode. So we didn't have to. You did half the work, to be honest. We just had to read some stuff out.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Next week we're going to be talking about a Christmas comic and I just want to say now before we do the final sign-offs, obviously Christmas this year is that kind of a funny time, so you'll probably get, instead of a Monday, the episodes may come out the day after. So they may be out a day later. Usually the numbers drop around Christmas anyway because everyone's seeing family and they got.
I can't imagine someone firing this up on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I mean, how am I going to ignore my family without this?
We are your family.
I know.
Yeah. So, but don't worry if a new episode doesn't turn up on Christmas Day, just look the next day. We'll be there. We're always here for you.
Well, last year we didn't. We were still on Facebook last year. Basically, when posts up in the thing how many comics they got for Christmas.
Yes.
We
that's
did
right.
similar in the swag channel this year.
Yeah, good shout.
But we do have some Christmas comic. Well, we have a particular Christmas comic we're going to read and talk about next week.
Yes.
Tony, do you want to, if the listeners want to read along?
Oh, have you got the issue number? I haven't got the issue number in front of me.
This is
fucking hell.
filibuster.
If you need to follow me online, I've got there you go. Sorry, I've got an Instagram at this chucklehead. I'll get a photo on there one day. I've got a real good one brewing. You just wait, and
oh god,
a lot of hot updates on that photo that might come at some point.
That is.
I'm trying to go through
the Hitman issue 22.
Issue
22.
Yeah. Hitman issue 22.
We won't say anything more, but when you see the cover, you'll understand why it's a Christmas one and why we're going to talk about it.
The Kindle edition is £1.59.
Yeah.
If you want to read it.
And also, I've never read Hitman before.
Oh, that's good.
There's lots of different reasons.
Alan Purdy's a big fan. I know.
Yeah.
Have a look.
But with that in mind as well, as you are so lovely listeners, if you've got any Christmas comic recommendations that are good for people to check out over the festive period, let us know. We'll shout them out on the show.
So, ones that cheer people up that aren't about killing people, then
Yeah.
Don't send that to me.
Yeah, go follow Tom because he's one of the good ones. We insult him when he's not about, so when he's on the show, after him. But where can people find us online, etc.? Tony?
Neveronanything.com. I put something up today about costs of comics, that old subject. Have a look at it.
Nice.
I will look at that.
Dan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Vanguard Comic, and you can be Vanguard at VanguardComic.com. If you want to follow along the September, I'm on my Instagram, which is like Dan Vanguard Comic, I think it is.
And follow him on Patreon because you get sneaky previews.
Yeah, I do.
You can follow me online at Jester Diablo. I posted my Christmas tree on Instagram recently.
Is that a message about your Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Has your cat tried to climb up yours?
No, my cats don't do that.
Oh, okay. They've been told.
Yeah.
Forpy just messaged me. I said, I'm just potting at the moment. He said, say hi to the chaps for me. Tell Vince I liked his tree, but not sure about his baubles. Hey, saucy.
Hey.
Well, you're going to see more of them in the future, son. Anyway, I'm just going to spam him with bauble pictures now. That's going to be fun.
Is that what you're calling them?
Yeah.
Look at them shine. Look at them shine.
Look at them shine. Look at them shine. Anyway, join us back next week as we get even more festive from Tony, Dan, Tom, and myself, wherever you are in the world. We hope you're happy, healthy, reading comics that you really, really enjoy, making comics that you just love making, surrounded by people that, family, friends, whoever it is, a community that loves you and also reads comics as well. And until next time, well, actually, what else should they do, guys?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.
Awesome. Love it, Tom. That's going to be a regular thing.
Thanks. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.